Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What Do We Want to Watch, the Explosion Network's premier media podcast. Every fortnight we get together to talk about movies, TV and online content and help you answer the question, do movies need to bring back intermissions now that everything is 2.5, 3 hours long? Will that boost numbers of people coming to the cinemas? I think so. Charge an extra $10 and there's a 15-minute intermission at some point during the movie. I think people would actually go for that. I'm your host, Ashley Hobley. Joining me today, Dylan Blight.
Hello, welcome to 2022. Whoa! What's changed? Movies? Are they getting delayed? Nah. Mission Impossible? Fuck!
Yeah, I think all the things that I asked for to happen in 2022 have already gone wrong. No delays, no more people going back to the cinema. all already terrible. Yeah. So yeah, 2022 is going to be good. Yeah. Yeah. So on today's episode, we'll be talking about what's history. We'll be going through our Trakt 2021 year in review. We'll be covering some of our most anticipated movies of the year. We'll be giving some thumbs to trailers, and we'll be doing this week's top 3. Obviously, it's been a while since we've had an episode. It's actually been just over a month.
So, there's been
podcasts. Content.
18 podcasts. There's been 26 podcasts.
Yeah, that's probably accurate. Yeah, so I figured we just run through a few things that obviously
housekeeping, they call it.
Housekeeping, yeah. Obviously, with all our best of 2021 content, you can find it at explosionhour.com/best of 2021, including our top 10 movies and TV shows of 2021. Of course, on this podcast feed, you can find our 2 personal best lists of TV shows and movies from last year. Spoiler alert, Matrix Resurrections was our movie of the year. We also did a spoiler cast with Simon Blackburn, which you can go back and listen to. Spider-Man No Way Home, that was a massive thing. That came out 2 days after the last episode. So yeah, go check out All New Marvel Cast, our Marvel podcast, in which we did a very big deep dive on that movie. Of course, the Hawkeye finished. You can check out All New Marvel Cast for our episode by episode breakdowns. Dylan, thumbs down, two thumbs down, 2 thumbs up, one up, one down.
Two thumbs up on
2 thumbs up.
Hawkeye.
Yeah, also 2 thumbs up from me. The Witcher Season 2. We just spoiled the cast for that.
On Witcher
2 thumbs up.
2.
Also 2 thumbs up. And right now, the Book of Boba Fett is airing. You can go over to Holocron Entries, our Star Wars podcast, and check out our episode by episode reviews. Dylan, overall thoughts so far?
1 up, 1 down.
Yeah, pretty simple. So, yeah, I would recommend listening to those instead. Yeah, it's been interesting so far. All right. So, with that said, let's jump into stuff that we've been watching recently. Let's start with Scream. Dylan, you went and saw the 5th Scream movie. Everybody's talking about it. Make sure there's no spoilers. I don't want to know who the killer is, but is the killer on the poster?
Yes, the killer is indeed on the poster.
Good to know they didn't lie to us.
They did not lie to you. Scream, it's just called Scream, but Scream 5 is really good. It's in this weird run of movie things that we have going now where it's doing it's a reboot, sequel, legacy sequel, plus because Scream's always been a meta as fuck franchise, of course it has fun poking fun of it at both itself and other movies. So I don't want to spoil too many things, but the moment I was like, this is these people understand Scream and also are writing this the exact way it should be written, is the classic Scream scene when the first couple of people have died, all the main characters gather in the room and they do the conversation And they've done this since like Scream 2. It's like they get in the room. It's like, here's the rules. It's a sequel now. This is the way they'll do it. And, Scream 3, the rules have changed now in the third one. Even the main character can die now. Like, there's always like one of these scenes. So they all get together and they do the thing where someone's explaining that like people are upset. Like they're trying to like do this thing and you can tell, as far as I'm concerned, I'd like to hear someone's theory as to why this is not what they're talking about. But they point out how, in the real world, like in the Scream world universe, in which the Stab movies are made, which are the movies based on the events in the movie, they're like Stab 8 came out recently, and everyone hated Stab 8. In fact, fanboys online everywhere are so pissed off about Stab 8 that they're talking about wanting to remake it and use their own money, and they ruin the franchise. I'm like, they're talking about Star Wars. So there's no way they're not talking about Star Wars. So, So, like, without saying too much more, that's like sort of the moment I was like, they're very well, like the meta conversations, which have always been a part of this franchise. And that's the thing that doesn't make it feel weird. Like, it's not like they suddenly were like, oh, we're going to get meta. Scream's always been meta. The first Scream's meta. The first Scream's like sort of a meta. It's both a take meta conversation about horror movies and Wes's own horror movies, as well as it is a serious horror movie, and that's always sort of been the thing about the franchise. It's always had something to say about movies, horror movies, the world, while doing a typical slasher, and this movie is no different. The cast is really good. A lot of new young characters, of course. You have some returning legacy characters, as you do. I like the way they're used. They're not in it as much as you may think based on the trailers. It is still primarily the new characters. And when the originals come in, it's at a stage that makes sense, and I think they're used appropriately and everything like that. I would say the kills weren't as eventful as maybe I'd liked, but like you run out of ways sometimes when it's just someone running around with a knife, like to do, I guess, like new ways that they can somehow kill people. But there's one scene, and I think it's the same one I see most people tweet about. Like there's a scene in the midpoint of the movie that really runs your tension up. It's a very prolonged tension building scene, and it's done very, very well. And I think that's sort of probably the highlight of the scary, tense part of the movie. Finale is awesome. But yeah, I loved it. I feel like if you're a Scream fan, it's really, really good. I could, in spoiler ways, explain why this movie and the way it does meta stuff and use of legacy characters and stuff is similar to how Matrix, and I have no problems with the way they do them because it makes sense, blah, 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 compared to the reasons I got angry about Ghostbusters, because I know some people, for some reason, would probably think they're all the same, and like, why would I get angry about Ghostbusters but not these? Like, there is reasons, and of course I just need like to be able to talk about them in spoiler ways to explain why. But no, it's really, really good. Made me want to like do a full rewatch, and I'd love to go watch it again, but don't know. We will see. But yeah, one definitely off to a good start. If it was the first movie I saw in the cinemas this year. So,
next up, Nightmare Alley, the latest film from Guillermo del Toro, his follow-up to Shape of Water.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I think it has a very strong, like it has a great first act. It has a good second act. And that sort of brings the movie down. I still think it's a very good. I like old Guillermo films though. I know like obviously he has his ups and downs, and some people liking some of it more so than others. The pitch for this one is, because I think sometimes the trailers, depending on which trailer you've seen, it can be somewhat confusing what exactly the point and story of the movie is. But it's basically the movie starts with Bradley Cooper's character showing up at a circus. You don't know anything about him. He sort of asks for a job. And then the first act of the movie is him and this circus and him living there, and slowly over time becoming more like learning and picking up like magic skills. That eventually leads him to where he is in the second act, where he's doing his own stage show by himself. And then that's where he starts getting involved with characters like Cate Blanchett's character, who's a psychologist, and he's trying to do like mentalism for people. and stuff like that to get money, and he ends up getting like wrapped up in some sort of shady figures and stuff like that. But I would say the reason the second half is only good and the first half is great is because the first act where he's in the circus, it's just a very slowed down pace. It's just you get a lot of time with the characters. It just nothing feels like it's rushed. You're really getting to know everyone. It's just like it just feels good. Like it just feels like you're getting like not everyone there is good at the circus either. Like I'll say some of the characters you're definitely like these are bad people, but they're still I guess the characters you're supposed to like to a degree. But and then when it switches gears and there's really no plot in the first half either, I guess is the thing. Like there's no real direction of it. Then you're just watching this character, Bradley Cooper's character, just live and learn things and meet people and talk to them and get to know them, fall in love, all these sorts of things. And then when it switches to the second half where it has like a time jump, it's very plot driven. It's very much like he's got a goal, he wants to do this, and it's like bing, bing. It's like constantly jumping forward next day. Like it's just suddenly becomes very heavy. Like the pace changes, and it's sort of weird when it's in the same movie. And it quickly, you sort of feel the gears change, but it's just sort of off-putting. But overall, I liked it. I think it's shot beautifully. Wonderful performances by everyone. There's this great monologue in the middle of the movie that sort of sets the finale up fantastically, sort of tease it off later. But yeah, I enjoyed it.
All right. Tell me about Spencer, the Princess Diana movie starring Kristen Stewart.
This is a horror movie. So, the setup for this one is it's Princess Diana, I think it's like 1995 or something like that. It's the last full Christmas she ever spent with the royals at their regular Christmas like get together or whatever. But it takes place over Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and then Boxing Day. So it's only 3 days. It's not a biopic. It's definitely not like come here like a Diana biopic. It's a character study that is apparently, as I'd done some Googling after watching it, Stephen Knight, who wrote it, like did a lot of interviews with the staff, around the royals and stuff, and that's sort of what it's based on, like what she would do, like or the things that are already known about her, of course, and like so it's not like based on true like this happened this day. It's like a rough sort of, and it says that at the start, like inspired by a true fable or something like that. But yeah, it's more or less a character study into Diana, who throughout the entire time of this movie it's like she's trapped. It's the royals are the monsters. The queen is just always positioned as this evil thing off screen. And that's the thing. The movie really never gives you time to see them. They're always just like these monsters lurking in the background or off camera, off screen sort of thing. Diana is like stressed from the moment she gets there. She seems sort of free once she gets there. And then as she arrives, and then as soon as she gets there, you can tell she's just sort of wants to escape. Like it's weird. It is actually a horror movie, like without anyone getting killed, obviously. But from the music, from the way that's shot, it's meant to be off-putting. It's meant to be like make you feel odd. I think the script is I think it's just too long. I think it could have been tidied up to a closer 90 minutes proper thriller, like the edge of your seat the entire time would have been a lot better. I think it slows down a few too many times. It's like closer to 2 hours or something. And I think that sort of kills a lot of the momentum it builds at times, or like the way it like builds up its tension and stuff like that. Even though it doesn't need a payoff, it just like we'll just commit to doing like a full 90-minute thriller. But Kristen Stewart's fantastic. Like her performance is really, really good. And if you've seen people saying she's really good in this, it's because she is, and it could definitely be like a career pusher for her, this role. But yeah, I'd say the movie's okay. She's really good though.
So I went out and watched the latest movie from Mamoru Hosoda, the director of Boy and the Beast and Summer Wars, Wolf Children, Mirai, Go Leapt to the Through Time. His latest film, Belle, done by Studio Chizu. Very there's a lot. So it follows a young girl called Suzu who is living in like rural Japan. She loved to sing as she was younger, but has come to, after her mother dies, and her blaming her mother for like abandoning her, she loses the ability to sing until she comes across which is the new virtual world app thing, metaverse, that's kind of big. And when she goes into she's able to sing again, and quickly becomes a viral sensation as Belle, a singer who, captures the imagination of you and is quickly made a big star, mainly through the work of one of her friends. She soon comes across a guy within you called Dragon or Beast, who's causing mayhem and wrecking stuff and like being a nuisance and that kind of stuff. And they kind of form a bond. He has his own castle that she goes and visits him in and tries to connect with him and that kind of stuff. It's very much like a play on the Beauty and the Beast story, but it's definitely maybe not. No, I don't want to actually say too much in case, we watch this. I think it is beautifully animated. The music is really fantastic. The story goes in interesting directions. It definitely reminded me of his work. It reminds me most of Summer Wars, mostly because that was also similarly set in like a metaverse universe, I guess. But yeah, that's really,
because that's one of my favorites of his. Summer Wars.
Summer Wars. So if you like Summer Wars, you'll probably like this, as long as you also like people singing a lot.
Fine by me.
Fine by you. Not as much like action. I think there is. There's way less fights in this than there was in Summer Wars. And it definitely was super moving towards the end. Like, I definitely teared up at a certain point. And there's just kind of this girl getting over her grief of her mother, and trying to deal with that and kind of overcome that and that kind of stuff. So I really thought it was pretty fantastic. So I would recommend going out and checking Belle if you players anywhere near you. I watched it in Japanese with subtitles, but it is also being screened dubbed as well. Fantastic. I've been listening to the music since I got home from the cinema, so very happy about that one. Dylan, tell me about House of Gucci. How was Lady Gaga and Jared Leto under 20 layers of makeup?
So I'll start with this. Jared Leto on this is off his fucking face. He is both unrecognizable, but like doing his usual thing where I just don't even believe he knows who he is when he's doing the role. Like he's just, I don't know how anyone acted around him. It's just such a ridiculous performance. Overall, this movie is just, I don't know. It's really weird because I just feel like everyone's not so far overacting that it becomes ridiculous, but a lot of people are really pushing that line of just being a little bit too much, and especially because everyone's like putting on accents and, it's like, it becomes a lot. It's also a bit too long. I think the good thing about this movie is Lady Gaga is good. Like she's the standout, the reason to watch the movie, I'd say. Adam Driver's really good too, as well. But I'd say Gaga's sort of the standout. She is pushing it, but she rides that line. I think she's fine. But it's just everyone else in this movie. Like literally everyone else that's in this movie is just, maybe not Jeremy Strong. Everyone else off their chain. Especially Jared Leto. Even Al Pacino, he's like having a fucking ball over here yelling and doing overacting sort of sensational stuff. But yeah, I don't know. It's a movie I watched and I would say I was a little bit disappointed because it doesn't land this, I guess, the seriousness of the story or like what happened or anything like that to a degree. It seems very sort of cookie cutter almost, and like I'd say the best half is the first half when you're getting to know the characters. When I can't remember the real people's names, but when Lady Gaga's character is like meeting Adam Driver's character, whatever, McCall Gucci, and they're like falling in love and all this sort of stuff. And then once you get to the second half and shit's going off the rails, which you inevitably was going to happen, that's when I was like a little bit less interested. But yeah, it's a wild movie with some wild performances. Jared Leto is, again, I just can't get over it. Like, there's one scene where he's just like going around a kitchen and being like, oh, but like, and all this sort of stuff. And Lady Gaga's just acting very serious next to her. I'm like, how are you doing this scene? Like, I would be laughing. Like, what did he just do? Like, it's just it's just a lot. But I would say it's okay. I think maybe I gave it a 6 or something on Trakt, but that's probably where I'm at. Like, it's okay.
It's okay. All right. I went out and watched The King's Man, the prequel movie to the two Kingsman films. This one also directed by Matthew Vaughn, in which it follows the creation of the Kingsman organization, set in around the events of World War One. You have Ray Fiennes as Orlando Oxford, who, he was a pacifist after the Boer Wars in South Africa and that kind of stuff. And after his wife gets killed, and he's raising his son Conrad, he's like an aristocrat. He's like obviously comes from wealth and everything. But his son Conrad desperately wants to join the war efforts, especially as World War One starts to kick off. You kind of see all the events kind of unfold in a Kingsman-y sort of way, where I don't know if I knew this or not, but apparently the head of Germany, Russia, and England were all cousins. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know enough about my history, whether that's the true thing or not. But yeah, he kind of gets pulled in through his old connections, and it turns out, he's been starting the Kingsman organization kind of by like information seeking system through like servants and that kind of stuff throughout the Europe and that kind of thing, gathering information. So they kicks off the events with them trying to go and kill Rasputin, but the entirety of World War One is being orchestrated by this guy called the Shepherd, who you never see his face until like the last act of the film. His identity is kept secret the entire time. Who's kind of orchestrating all these players around. And yeah, it's not as fun as the Kingsman movies. I would say that. Obviously, it involves a lot of war and people dying a lot, and not in like a fun, they're getting shot and murdered, and our guys making funny one-liners. It's like war and depressing. It just kind of tonally all over the place. Sometimes like super serious, and then other times it's like kind of wacky. Obviously, Rhys Ifans plays Rasputin, who is very horny, likes to lick stuff, and at one point just eating a tart with his massive beard and half of it's coming out of his mouth. And then he proceeds to vomit it up because it's filled with poison. At one point, he heals Ray Fiennes' injured leg. Never explained how he does that. Is there magic in this universe now? We don't know. It is an odd movie. It's definitely the weakest of the three Kingsman movies. I would say it's probably the weakest Matthew Vaughn movie as well. So,
wow.
Yeah, which is a shame because I really like Matthew Vaughn as a director. There's some interesting shots and stuff and ideas that and that kind of stuff, but yeah, it's a bit of a mess, this one. But they definitely set it up for like a sequel potentially. But from what I hear, it's more likely a third proper Kingsman's going to come out. And I don't think it's done well, very very well box office wise. I don't think it's even made it back as budget, but most of the movies coming out at the moment I've been struggling to do that, so it's not surprising.
Not Scream.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, King's Man. It came out. Dylan, tell us about West Side Story.
Fuck. We haven't recorded since that, eh?
Yeah.
West Side Story. So Steven Spielberg's remake or version, whatever, of West Side Story. It's okay, I guess. I think so. The songs are the same songs, so you should, if you've seen it before, obviously you'll know what you're sort of in for. If you haven't seen West Side Story before or even heard any of the songs, I'm sure most people have at least heard some of the songs, or should you'd probably be sitting there going, "Oh, this is what that's from," sort of thing. The songs are good, obviously. I think Ansel Elgort is, and we was discussing this before, like if it would feel weird because he has all these recent allegations hanging over his head. So I tried to do my due diligence to just maybe forget about that for the 2.5 hours or whatever, and then take that into account after. So just like try and zone myself into the movie, which was fine. So I'm saying this solely so I can say the following part and say it's not connected to that. I think he was miscast. I think he's bad in this movie. It has nothing to do with...
I will say, from what I've read, that role is generally be considered the weakest part of the movie.
He is the worst part of the movie. I think he holds the movie back from being much better. And that's why I'm just clarifying. This is nothing to do with his sexual abuse allegations and all that sort of stuff. This is solely as a performance in the movie. I think he's the worst part of the movie, and he actually brings the entire thing down. He's just a very one note. Like, his singing is obviously fine. It's not great. It's fine. But his performance is just so one note, boring. And he's next to I have to open up the IMDb quickly.
Rachel Ziegler.
That's the new one?
Yes.
So she's fantastic. She's a godsend in this movie. She's full of life. She's this wonderful screen presence. Like, she brings, like, one of her main songs is just so like lively and everything. It's fantastic. She's amazing. And then Ariana DeBose, however you like it, who's done a bunch of other singing stuff as well, singing dance stuff. She, again, fantastic, full of life, amazing. All over the screen, very colorful. It's awesome. Bernardo, David Alvarez, fantastic, full of life. Even Rita Moreno, who is like played the original Anita, I think it was, as the old lady was telling me when I left the theater. She plays Valentina, which is like, I guess, Tony Ansel Elgort's, like, I don't know, like he lives with her, like she looks after him, whatever. They have a relationship there. But she's like, again, very good. Like, everyone. It's just Ansel Elgort is just so one note, dry. Don't even know if he wants to be here. He's not giving it the same amount of life and love that everyone else I feel in this movie is. Even Riff, Mike Fast, yeah, great. Corey Stoll's in this. Even he's great. He plays a cop, this lieutenant dude or whatever. Like, he's really good in this. I was surprised because as soon as he showed up on screen, I was like, oh, Corey Stoll's in this. I didn't actually know that. Like, this seems a bit weird casting, and like, is this going to off-put me? But no, I was totally into it. Shot wonderfully. Obviously, it's this beautiful cinematography. I guess as you would expect. I feel like another thing is that they rework some scenes to play around with the whole racism storyline, because obviously that's what it was. It was like, that's the West Side Story thing is about racism. People like a white gang fighting the Latinx, I guess, gang or whatever. That's sort of the setup, I guess. And they try and rewrite it to make it a bit more 2020 version. Some parts of it just still feel off. Like, you get more scenes in this with both sides of characters, both sides of views or stuff like that. But overall, it still feels a bit like you're trying to rewrite a movie or a story from, the 50s or wherever that was written basically from the white guy point of view. And like, it almost feels like you should just take the songs and just, I don't know, do it from scratch and not try and follow. Because for the most part, it does just follow the same exact beats and everything. It's not doing like a completely revision of it all. But it's okay. I'd say it's okay. I feel like Ansel Elgort definitely bring this entire thing down. Anytime he's on screen, he's the least interesting character in the movie. He's the least interesting performer. And I mean, it's a musical. You need the people doing the song and dances, and to bring that elevated emotion to those songs and stuff. And he just doesn't. So no.
All right. Let's move away from some movies and talk about some TV. Peacemaker, the spin-off from The Suicide Squad, starring John Cena, is available now on Binge. The first 4 episodes are out so far. I've watched all 4. Have you watched any yet, Dylan? Okay, so I'll try and keep it spoiler-free-ish. Pretty much following Peacemaker after the events of Suicide Squad, in which he survives and is in hospital. He soon gets forced to work in a special Argus offshoot team, chasing down certain targets with but yeah, again, I don't want to get too much into why the target's being targeted and that kind of thing, but yeah, they need a killer, and Peacemaker's the killer they've got. So yeah, Peacemaker, it's pretty great. I think it's a really fun time. John Cena is getting to do more of Peacemaker, and that's always good, because I think he was probably a highlight of that film. Unexpected highlight. Yeah, and this kind of explores definitely why Peacemaker is the way that he is. Obviously, you've got Robert Patrick playing his father, who I will say much more racist, outwardly racist than John Cena's Peacemaker is. And yeah, he plays kind of a key role in Peacemaker being the way that he is. And yeah, I enjoy like the team dynamic. There's some cool secrets being held between people. There's clearly some sort of attraction and that kind of thing between certain people. They've got Peacemaker's friend, in quotation mark, vigilante, comes along at some point. Pretty much he just shows up and becomes part of the team. So he's cool. An interesting dynamic to the team as well. And yeah, it is as gross, like violent as the Suicide Squad. They definitely, like, he can say pretty much whatever he wants. He's full on says that Aquaman is fucking fish and that Batman is a pussy, and saying all these making all these references to characters within the DC universe and that kind of stuff. Talking about matter eating land and shit. Yeah, so there's all these random things. Yeah, it is definitely a James Gunn produced thing. There's like music plays a key role in, like, he feels music and he's dancing a lot, because that's how he kind of gets his emotions out and that kind of stuff. And the show has one of the best opening credit sequences currently airing, in which the entire cast dances to "Do You Want to Taste This?" The song that you probably heard in the trailers, in an extended dance sequence. So if you haven't seen, have you seen that at least? Nope. Okay.
I've seen people tweeting the opening is great, so I know that it's a thing, but I haven't watched it. No.
Yeah, it's surprisingly very, very good. So
I didn't want to look at. I'm like, I'm gonna watch the show.
Yeah, no.
So I'm like, I don't want to like just go watch the.
But yes, I haven't skipped the opening in any of the episodes so far, because it's just a delight to watch every single time. So yeah, Peacemaker, again, available on Binge. I assume it's also on Foxtel. Doesn't matter. You should just have Binge instead. Yeah. So there's that. Dylan, tell us about the massive holiday hit, Yellow Jackets.
Oh my god, what a show, everyone! If you bloody seen my Twitter. So I jumped into, so I see some people I'm following tweeting about this show Yellow Jackets for a few weeks there. And maybe the first time someone tweets about it, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Second or third time I see someone tweet about something like, fuck this show. It's, it's that tweet the second or third week where it's like, oh this show just keeps getting better. Oh, this show's still getting great. Like, I can't stop watching it. So I was like, fuck, I better check out this damn Yellow Jacket. And I hadn't even heard of this thing. So I watched the trailer. I'm like, yes, that does seem like something I would be interested. That does seem like it follows in my interests of genres. So I think I jumped in when it was at episode 5, maybe 6. I don't remember. I think I watched like the last. I think I had like maybe 3 or 4 left. So I think maybe just over halfway I jumped in. Slightly over halfway through the season, I think I jumped in. Because I binged upwards, and then it was like a day later, the next episode dropped, and then I was away. So I think I had like 2 when I came back. Anyway, the premise is that a American high school football / soccer, they call it soccer, of course, girls soccer team, their flight crashes, their plane crashes, fuck knows where, that's the point of the show, obviously. Their plane crashes and fuck knows where, and they survive there. So this is the thing, the show isn't always set there, it's a flashbacky one. We're talking lost people, right? They survive there, I think it's for a year and a half, and then some of them make it back. So you know some of them are going to survive, and that's because Melanie Lizinski, who I guess most people would have seen most recently in Don't Look Up. What?
Sorry, I thought you said Melanie. I'm like, oh, okay, that's a weird character name. No, it's Melanie here.
Yeah, I said it wrong the first time. Melanie Lizinski, who most people would have seen in Don't Look Up recently. She plays Leonardo DiCaprio's wife in that.
We'll get to that.
She's in a bunch of other stuff too, but and then so she plays this character Shauna. Tawny Cypress plays this character. These are the adult versions, right? Tysa, and then you've got what's the most famous person is
Christina Ricci.
Oh, no, there's 2 more. Sorry. So Christina Ricci plays Missy, and then Juliette Lewis plays Natalie. So you know these 4 characters, these 4 girls will survive. They will make it out the year and a half. But I'll tell you what, if you don't, I think this show has one of the best pilots of recent memory because it hits you hard to the point that you're like, yeah, I want to fucking know how we get to that point and how they survive. So the pilot starts obviously with these flashbacks and stuff, but the pilot shows you a lot of what's to come, which is these teen girls in a scene where they're chasing another girl who's naked through the forest or whatever. And they're like dressed up in like animal skin hides and like full on mask, you know, like real tribal-esque shit. And they like chase this girl into a trap. She like falls into this like pit of spikes and obviously dies. You get to see her body like, she's like lands and bleeding out, whatever. And then shortly after that, I'm spoiling to a degree the first episode, but this is the pitch. Right? So I'm going to skip ahead if you want to hear this part, but this is the pitch, right? Show's finished. You're going to watch it all. I'm telling you why you should watch it. Shortly after that, in the same episode, you then see them all around campfire. And that's the thing, because they're all wearing masks. So it's smart. So because all the girls who are there at this time all have masks, obviously you don't know which is which. You know 3, 4 of them have to be the girls that survive, but who are the other ones is sort of the question. Also, who's the one in the middle? Who's the leader? We don't know yet. But they're eating the girl. They're going full cannibal is what they're doing. They're going full fucking cannibal. So you have these flashbacks throughout the entire series, and they never say it in the show. They never say, you never hear any of the adult characters say, we went full fucking cannibal out there. But they constantly talk about how, because when they got back, none of them talked. They made a pact. Do not talk about what happened. Don't talk about what we did. And that's what they'll always say whenever you have the adult characters talking. Like they want to talk about their secrets. They don't want their secrets getting out. Obviously the secrets is the cannibalism, but who knows what the fuck else happens. I don't say like which characters die, but yes, some characters die in the first season in the flashbacky in surviving in the wilderness sort of stuff. But yeah, and there's a lot of interesting stuff that happens in the current day. They start getting blackmailed. They think someone's trying to get the information out there. One of the characters is trying to run for a well, I can't remember American government, but like like a Senate in a city or whatever that high position is, like the leader of a city, like not the mayor, but no, not the mayor, like the whatever, it starts with S, I think, or something. No, something like that. Anyway, that sort of thing. Senator. Yeah, it's a senator, I think, is what they're running for. So she's trying to run for that, so doesn't want the secrets getting out there, blackmail. The other girl who survives is now married to a guy that was actually the boyfriend of her best friend who she was secretly fucking back in the day, and now she's married to. So for the first few episodes, you're like, whoa, like what the fuck is going on there? Has a fantastic 90s soundtrack because that's when it's set, some real bangers and stuff like that. But yeah, I feel like if you like teen teen horror sort of stuff, genre wise, yes, please. If you like mystery TV shows where you're like, there's lots of sort of mystery boxes set up and what's to happen. Like, for instance, I get a lot lost in the show too. And I don't know if it's like, not to say it's like really convoluted, but like from the episode 1, as soon as they land in this place, crash land. And by the way, the crash landing scene, probably one of the best, at least TV show crash landing airplane scenes I've seen, because it doesn't fake it out. Like the whole thing starts catching on fire. There's a fucking dude burning in the back. It's like, yeah, it wouldn't be cookie cutter safe landing. Oh no, we bumped our heads. Like someone gets a pole straight through them. It's like pretty visceral. There's like all these like random symbols on trees, like cut in. So straight away from the first episode, and the characters never notice it, but the camera, of course, pans past them. So you as an audience member, you're like, what are these fucking symbols? Who's out here? What's going on? So straight away, and this is, I'm telling you right now, this isn't all answered in the first season. Lots of mystery boxes. Love to see it. So yeah, I'm hooked. I binged it, kept watching it, kept thinking about it. Definitely one of my favorite things. And considering the last few episodes we're in 2022, sorry, it falls under our 2022 show rules. So currently it would be one of my favorite things, definitely at the top of the list, 2022 shows, but I would highly suggest everyone watch it. Yeah. All the performances are great. Like Christina Ricci, if you've been a fan of her and kind of been like, man, she fell off. She hasn't done anything great for years. This is it. Christina Ricci fans, if you've been waiting, she is fucking off her face in this. Like she is, I can't even tell you, like, I don't want to spoil her character, but she's on another level. Like she's just sort of a sicko, to be honest, but she plays it so well that you're like, you're evil. But she does it like, she's like evil but smiling, like, huh, what did I do? Stab that person? Like that sort of psycho. She's really good. Everyone's really good, but also all the young girls are fantastic too. I think there's like a standout young cast here that's really, really good. So yeah, I love this show. Can't wait for more. Everyone should watch it.
Yeah, they're starting to break out, some of them, apparently. Like 2 of them have been in pretty big things since.
Yeah, Scream, one of them's in. Yeah. And then the other one's in The Mandalorian.
Book of Boba Fett.
Book of Boba Fett, sorry.
Yeah. I might have to bite the bullet and watch the pilot tonight, maybe.
Watch the pilot. Like, I swear, if you get to the end of the pilot, I'll say this. The pilot has some of the more gory stuff in it because they like really want to hit you with it and be like, it's not a horror show for the most part. I'd say it's a drama thriller for the most part, but it's that first episode hits you, but also it gives you enough that you're like, if by the end of the episode, you're like, I want to know what happens next. You're insane. Because I swear I was like, man, where's the next episode? Let's fucking go.
All right. So I started watching Station 11. So this is the new, dystopian fiction miniseries.
Before you go, at some point in what you're about to say, answer this question. Why did they release this now?
Because they started filming it before.
Well, did they though? Because we've been in a pandemic for like 15 years. So
let's see. Filming started January 2020.
January
2020.
Okay, that's some bad fucking timing then.
So, if you didn't know, in Station 11 it follows, and pretty much pretty much follows an apocalyptic event in which, everybody starts getting this flu that starts killing everybody.
Yep.
Crazy, out there idea. Yep. Based on a book from was it 2014? 2015?
I know it's recent, so I don't know.
Yeah, but it's not like 2 years,
no.
In the last couple of years.
This motherfucker predicted something. He's fucking not Nostradamus over here.
Pretty much. So yeah, it just kind of follows, at least the first episode, follows the events of that first day of everything going to shit. But then it also flashes forward to 20 something years in the future, and seeing how the world has kind of survived since. It's hard to say, give an overall idea of the show so far, because it's 3 episodes in, but the 3 episodes have all featured different protagonists. But probably one of the main the 2 main through lines, you've got the character of Kirsten, who's played in the past as by Matilda Lawler, and then is played in the future by Mackenzie Davis. It kind of follows her trajectory, and then you've got this comic book called Station 11 that's was written by the person that we follow in episode 3. I can't remember exactly. Miranda. And the third episode explores her story up to, I don't know, Infection Day or whatever. But somehow the comic seems to have like some sort of prophecy element to it. Because people start showing up to Kirsten quoting things from this book, which apparently there was only like 1 or 2 copies of. It's interesting so far. I'm not like desperate to keep watching episodes, but it's definitely intriguing. It's got a really good cast, like Hamish Patel, Gail Garcia Bernal. Mackenzie Davis is pretty much great in everything she does. So lots of interesting ideas and that kind of stuff. Like the thing in the future, was with like humanities all run down and everything. So what they do is Kirsten's part of this traveling troupe that goes from town to town performing Shakespeare. Just to lift people's spirits and that kind of thing. So I found it quite interesting. Of course, the subject matter might be a bit too depressing and on the nose for some people. But it's all out now, available on Stan. I've heard it ends very well, so it is something I want to try and finish sometime this year. So
I was making fun of it, but it is on like high part of my list to watch.
Yeah. It's been pretty well regarded. Dylan, season 2 of Euphoria has come out.
Oh boy, talk about some good television. My God, this show doesn't miss. It doesn't miss. I can't. If you're not watching Euphoria, you're a piece of shit. Are you watching Euphoria, Ash?
Okay.
No, you're a fucking piece of shit. Obviously, I feel like it's been a while. So in case someone else missed it, like Euphoria season 1, when did that come out? 2019, mid 2019. So then we had the 2 specials. One at the very end of 2020, I guess. Time's a fucking blur. Would it have been end of 2020? And then the first one was 2020.
I hope they're both 2021, seeing as Zendaya was like our best leading actor in a drama.
Oh no, it was December 2020, but it still fell in now. Okay. Like it was in.
It's still crazy that she got in the top 5 best leading actress for performances in a drama for 2 episodes of television.
Well, when it's that good, Ash, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, okay.
You haven't seen it. You can't judge. Season, we've got 2 episodes as of recording. They're both very good. So there's a bit of a time gap. It's hard to talk about the show without spoiling it because I just want everyone to watch it. But the season 2 opens with this flashback scene about this character, Fezco, who's like this drug dealer from season 1 who you don't really know much about. And it's just really good, like sort of 10-minute mood. It's like backstory for this character that's really, really great. And then you get into like the main crux, which is that Rue, Zendaya's character, and Jules, her girlfriend, they had split up, and then you have this whole will they, won't they bump into each other. They're at this college party, and this has some beautiful cinematography in it. Lots of, I don't know how they shot it. Like it's lots of so slow motion, sort of the camera purposely showing where characters are at this party because you know something's going to happen, but you just don't know who it's going to implode on. Like the camera's like panning in on them, and then it's like someone's like holding a very strong flashlight and just like blasting their face right as the camera gets close. I don't know, but it looks really cool. All over, Euphoria's always had some really interesting cinematography and the way it shoots stuff, especially because often it'll even have stuff randomly in episodes where it just 4:4 breaks and Zendaya's character's like talking to you, which is the show doesn't really have rules as to how it tells to choose its story, and often the show's also primarily told from Rue's point of view, and because she's a fucking drug addict, the show starts, season 1 was about how she just got home from whatever you call it, like she was in a drug rehabilitation thing. And season 1 covers how she's trying not to get back into doing drugs. Anyway, season 2, she's on drugs again. She's relapsed hard. She's lying to Jules, so that's not going to work out well. That's how we start the season. And she meets this other guy whose name I can't remember. No, if I can find the character. It's a new character. Anyway, this new character who she's just doing drugs with. She nearly dies in the first episode. I was like, okay, that would be an interesting way for the show to go. She just has a fucking drug overdose straight away, but here we are. But then you also get this fucking thing where this other character basically gets his face beaten in so much his nose like looks like it's about to collapse. You have these other interesting things that are going on. I don't know. The whole show is like obviously high school college drama, but on a R-rated level. So if people have never seen Euphoria, lots of drug use, lots of violence, lots of nudity. The show does a really good job of both being lots of female and male nudity. So I think there was a high level amount of dongs in the first episode of season 2, like a lot of dick. I think there was more dick than boobs, to be honest. So
I heard there was a lot of dick in this show. So
there was a lot of dick. There was a lot of dick, to be honest. And one stage, this girl, people have been using this shot of what the fuck's her name, Sydney Sweeney, where she's laying in a bathtub and she's trying to hide in like the first episode, and people have been using that as a meme lately. I don't know if you've seen that going around Twitter.
Yeah, I've
seen that one. That's what it's from. It's from Euphoria. That's what that shot's from. But she's laying there, and then when she goes to get out, this other dude walks in to take a shit. He just like rips his pants down. Of course, his dick's just sitting there, and then she's like staring, and then he's like, "I'll totally fuck you, but I'm still gonna take a dump first," or whatever. It's just like such a like, it's a wild show. But yeah, Sydney Sweeney's character is like hooking up with this, like her best friend's boyfriend, and there's like a lot of drama happening there, obviously. And then the other interesting character I want to shout out for people is that Maud Apatow's character, Lexi Howard, has been getting a lot of in the first couple episodes at least, she's been getting a direction where she's sort of falling in love with the character I was talking to him, or seems to be at least interested in Fezco, the drug dealer I was talking about before, which is interesting because she's like sort of in the friend group, the other ones are like sort of the party girls and whatever else, but she's sort of like the straight A, she's like in the group, but not that one. So obviously in season 1, she didn't get a lot of she didn't really have like a story. She was just sort of there. So it's good to see that this season's giving her something to do. And she's like, the performances have been really good the first couple episodes. Like, I was like, go Maud Apatow, good on you, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. It's Coleman Domingo again, fucking everything. Every time he's on screen, he's like the best thing that's happening. He's that episode that I said was like some of the best TV. I stand by it. The first Euphoria special, the first of the two-parters that are released, it's just him, his character, Coleman Domingo's character, and Zendaya's character, Rue, sitting in a restaurant for an hour just talking. It's literally just two characters talking. And you'd be like, how's that interesting? You haven't seen acting. You haven't seen storytelling. It's bare bones. It's 10 out of 10 episode television. You people don't know what you're missing out on. Anyway, I don't know. It's hard to talk about because Euphoria is like one of my favorite shows at the moment. And I love all the characters. But also, it's hard to picture because obviously I'm talking about like, it sounds like you're pitching like a fucking Pretty Little Liars or something, I guess. But it's just more adult than that, I guess. Like it's just it's a bit more serious, a bit more, I don't know. It's like, it's not as lighthearted, it's got something happening, but I don't know. Euphoria is really good. It's back. I'm very keen. I'm going to be watching it week by week. So far, it's off to a great start. Can't see what's going to happen. It's had some intense moments. See what happens. Everyone should watch Euphoria.
All right. I checked out the first episode of MacGruber, the TV's follow-up.
How do we go? How do you take me from Euphoria to that? I'm like, here's some fine wine television. Here's one of the best TV shows on TV at the moment. Here's one of Dylan's top TV shows. Here's a show that Dylan will probably have on his top 10 TV shows of 2022 list. And you're like, I checked out the first episode of MacGruber. Fuck's sake.
Listen, I would like to give people like a hard switch up.
Someone just fell out of their car because you whiplashed them so fucking hard. And they were on a highway straight, Ash. They were driving straight and they still fell out.
That's impressive. So yes, it's the follow-up to the movie of MacGruber. Dylan, did you ever watch the movie MacGruber?
No, I did not.
No. So that's the movie based on a series of SNL skits in which Will Forte plays MacGruber, a MacGyver super uber patriot type. So if it doesn't matter if you haven't seen the movie because the episode opens with Maya Rudolph singing for 5 minutes the plot of MacGruber, including like interstitial shots. But you know, I'll spoil the ending of MacGruber because it's, you know, the ending is, you know, he saves the day, stops the major villain, is getting married to the girl who his wife's best friend, his dead wife's best friend, his dead wife who was Maya Rudolph. It is new wife played by Kristen Wiig.
The fuck are you saying?
But at the wedding, the bad guy shows up again, but then MacGruber kills the bad guy, and then proceeds to blow him up with a rocket and piss on his dead body. Turns out that was murder, not self-defense. So he gets charged with murder, and he gets sent to life in prison. But then, you know, the American government, the president's daughter gets kidnapped, and the terrorists want to exchange MacGruber for the president's daughter. So yeah, we kind of follow up 10-something years after, or however long since the movie. You know, MacGruber gets an opportunity to like go see the people, his wife, who's now his ex-wife, and his best friend, who's now his ex-best friend, because apparently during the trial process, he was trying to throw everybody else under the bus to try and get off. And yeah, if you like the movie MacGruber, I think you'll like this. It's definitely got its own weird, wacky sense of humor. Like, obviously, like, he was Jorma Takomi, one of the Lonely Island guys is involved, and obviously Will Forte is heavily involved in that kind of stuff. Definitely has the tone of like a Hot Rod or some of the early Lonely Island movies that weren't pop star and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I can see this not being for everybody. And it definitely has a weird, wacky tone, and like, yeah, it is an odd one. It is crazy that they did make a TV series because the movie is notorious for being one of the worst box office bombs of all time. So yeah, ballsy for them to make a TV sequel, but you know, I guess it had gathered some sort of cult status, or you know, Peacock was really desperate for content. So I don't know. Give the pilot a shot, I think. That's all I'll say. But yeah, I might watch another episode or two. I'm sorry. The funniest thing is, during the terrorist handoff, like, they make him strip naked and everything, you know, like you do. But then when they release the president's daughter, it's just the president's dog that runs out. and MacGruber's super upset, thinking they've traded him for just a dog. And then the daughter comes across. Yeah. It's pretty great. MacGruber.
You're having too much fun talking about the show.
I know. Dylan, tell us about The Tourist. Speaking of things on Stan.
The Tourist. Oh, right, The Tourist.
Jamie Dornan.
Yep, I got lost there for a second. This one, it was okay. It's Australian show. It's obviously a Stan original. It's about Jamie Dornan plays this character who doesn't have a name. You don't know his name, because the premise is that the show opens with a sequence in which he's like a truck starts chasing him or whatever in the middle of WA or wherever, desert, middle of buttfuck nowhere, Australia. It's this sort of intense, almost Jules Spielberg reminiscent scene. Anyway, the truck eventually bowls him over, and then he wakes up in the hospital, memory loss. Can't remember who he is. Doesn't know why someone in a truck would be chasing him. Doesn't know, like, anything. Police can't find anything on him. And of course, everyone's like, stay in the hospital, figure stuff out. And he's like, nah, fuck that. Because they find one note in his pocket or whatever that said he had to be at some diner in a town that's like, you know, however many kilometers away. So on his way he gets. And the show is him trying to figure out and retrace his steps to figure out who he was, what he was doing there, why someone would be trying to kill him, and then figure out, you know, everything else from there. So, it's okay. It has like a weird sort of, I feel like its biggest influence is probably Fargo. like tonally wise, I think it's, and not the movie, but the TV show. I feel like tonally it's trying to be Australia's version of Fargo to a degree, like a dark comedy, serious crime thing at the same time. Like Fargo is a serious show, but it also has the same tone that the Fargo like movie did with the Coen Brothers, which is that it had a dark comedy element to it without losing the fact that it was still trying to tell this serious crime story. This is what this is trying to do. Several times it tries to fit in sort of comedic characters and stuff, including Danielle McDonald plays the other main character in it, who most people, I guess, would know for... Well, I mean, I think of Dumplin' or... Patty Cake, which is, I think that movie is like sort of underrated, but she's been in a few other things since then. But she plays this, I didn't realize she was Australian either until I looked this up. So, but she's Australian. She plays this new cop, like literally first on day, who sort of takes it, even though it's not her job, to try and track this person down because she's not a detective. She sort of puts it upon herself, even though everyone keeps saying don't do that. And she has this weird relationship with her, like sort of over-controlling husband, which is sort of supposed to be the comedic scenes, I guess. Anyway, she, like, her character's a little bit off for the tone for it. Maybe JB Dornham's just sort of off for the tone of it. I don't know. But yeah, I'd probably give it 6 or something. It was okay. It's at least something original on our streaming services made in Australia to watch, which I'm always going to try to make sure I check out all those just to support them in one way or another. But yeah, it was okay.
Okay. So I've been watching on Paramount Plus, The Neighborhood. So this is not too much to say. This is like your basic sitcom, starring Cedric the Taylor and Max Greenfield, in which a white family from Michigan moves to a predominantly black neighborhood in Pasadena, California, and hijinks ensue. You know, the father, played by Cedric, is like super skeptical about this white person living in his house next door, you know, and the white dude is super white, you know, and does weird stuff like wears short shorts while he's jogging and stuff. But yeah, I find it's just a, you know, comforting, dumb show. So yeah, that's something I've been watching while working on other stuff and that kind of thing. I will say the opening episode of season 3 opens, obviously it came out like after the events of after like George Floyd and that kind of stuff, so it very much tackles that subject matter straight on. So I thought that was a pretty bold episode, which isn't very funny, but like obviously is tackling some of those issues and like addressing that with the families and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm quite enjoying that. So if you want like a dumb sitcom to watch that you haven't watched before, I'd check out The Neighborhood. Especially, you know, everybody is pretty likable in this show. So, yeah. Dylan, season 2 of The Bump. Or Bump.
The Bump. Season 2 of Bump. It was really good. It was good as, I think it continues the same tone, I guess, as the first season, which is this, I don't know, I think it's a dramedy, I guess, is what it's supposed to be. But, by the way, shout outs, and I've said this off air, but the fact that the first season came out in January, second came out in December, crazy to me. Crazy. The storyline this season is obviously at the end. You can spoil the first season, can't I? The first season ends where you get Santa, what's his name? Santo something? Santi? Yeah, Santi. And Ollie sort of together now, and they're going to sort of co-parent this child while they still continue to go to high school and see the schooling through to the end or whatever. And the first episode makes a good job of showing in the first sort of 10 minutes that they're trying this, but also it's just a system that you can see running down and having problems quickly where, you know, they're at school and they're like trading the baby while each has a free class and the other one doesn't. And they sort of built the whole system around that. So, you know, like they're trying to get their life underway while also Ollie's mum is sort of reveling with the fact that, you know, at the end of the first season, you had the whole revelation that the fact that she was cheating, she was split up, I guess, at the time, so I didn't, but she was getting with Santi's dad, who was cheating with Ollie's mum, which is a whole weird thing because then it's the two kids, his parents getting together, odd thing. So you have that storyline sort of continue throughout this season, and you see different characters trying to either move past that or whatever. I can't remember her name, but the not Santi's stepmom, because that's what it is actually is. Like, I think it's in the first episode where Angie and Don, Angus Sampson, like Ollie's dad, they're like setting up this apartment that the two of them are going to take turns. That's how they decide to do their split. Like, they've got, it's really weird setup, really, but they get this apartment that one of them will stay in for a week or something like that, I think is how they go. And then they'll rotate. So they take turns actually having the house, like with Ollie or whatever. Like, and that's how they're rotating, like, instead of like one living somewhere permanently. That's it. So they're setting up this place, and then Santi's like stepmom shows up and she just starts throwing like fucking 20 eggs at the windows and all this sort of stuff. And Don goes up there. Angus Sampson in this show is like sort of my favorite thing. I love him in this show. I can't, like, I don't know if it like he just hits a certain funny bone for me, or it's just a sort of performance that I sort of love his whole sort of dad vibes in this, or I don't know what it is, but I love him in this show. I think he's really, really great. But really good, funny, dramatic moments, of course. I like the direction they take all the characters. I have no problems with the sort of the paths and directions they all go. I think the ending and like where it sets it up for season 3, I'm a bit like, that seems weird. Like I know, it just seems like the show just jumped in a weird direction, but I'll have to see if that actually makes sense or how it plays out in season 3, because it just sort of like puts the characters in the main two, it puts Ollie and Santi in a place where I'm like, really? Like, that's what we're doing? Like, that just seems not really, how'd we get here? Like, I can't really say for spoilers, but I was just like a little bit off put by that. But all in all, I thought it was really, really good, and definitely it was in my top 10 TV shows and stuff. So Bump season 2 is good, Bump season 1's good. Came for this next season.
All right. I finished watching Wheel of Time. I'm not sure if I discussed. I think we were just waiting for this.
I don't think you had. I don't recall.
No, I don't think the season had finished. No, the last episode came out 24th of December, so no. Yeah, I really enjoyed the end of the season. Obviously, they've been building up to this confrontation with the Dark One. I think they built up to it pretty well, like, kind of explaining where they're going forward from here, and kind of splitting the group up in different directions. Yeah, really enjoyable, like, big action sequence at the end, but also like a weirdly, like, not like a massive confrontation at the end. It's a weird one. I would recommend checking it out. You could probably wait till season 2 was a bit closer and then, put them together. Yeah. But yeah, overall, I think Wheel of Time, pretty good. It's not Game of Thrones season 1 levels, but it is still pretty good for a fantasy series, and I think we're going to get a few of those this year. So, yeah, Wheel of Time, I would recommend watching it. Dylan, you watched the 2 South Park post-COVID specials.
Yeah, so obviously I got Paramount Plus so I could watch Yellow Jackets. So while I was there, I was like, what else is here? And they had these 2 South Park specials that I think were I think it's pretty obvious that they got these made to have like exclusive content on Paramount Plus. Like, South Park's obviously a big property. Here's like, get 2 movies. I think they're like an hour each, roughly that. So but you can watch them back to back. I think they release maybe a week apart or a couple of days apart, that sort of thing. But they're pretty funny. Obviously, only if you like South Park. If you don't like South Park, this isn't going to change your mind. But the premise is, the first one starts, it's all when they're adults. So it starts like I can't remember what the year is. It starts like years from now. COVID's over. It's like we're living in a post-COVID world and all this sort of stuff. And then they're having a high school reunion. So I think I don't watch South Park as much as I did when I was in high school. But I think Stan's like the main person it follows, and he hates his life anyway. He's like lives in his apartment alone, basically hates life. And it follows him coming back to South Park, and they have this sort of, everyone's get together. There's a funny scene where Cartman actually comes in, and he's married to a Jewish lady, and he's become like a Jewish priest, or I don't actually know what the proper word is, but I swear I can't remember it. Anyway, that. And of course, straight away, Kyle's like, "You fucking doing this to fuck with me? Like, this is like some long-term joke or whatever." It's like, so there's some like funny continuing South Park bits in there. They come back because Kenny died. That was the thing. Sorry, so Kenny died, of course, and so they were coming back. But then when they get to South Park, someone gets a new version of the coronavirus is released. And then everyone tries to escape South Park, and there's this quite funny scene where all the army like block them in, and they're like, "We can't release you because one of you have not got vaccinated yet." And then everyone's like, "Well, just tell us who, and we'll tell them. We'll make sure they get vaccinated so we can all leave." And like, "No, under new regulations, we're not allowed to bully people against their beliefs not to get vaccinated, even if it is bad for humanity." Like, it's a very like sort of like tongue-in-cheek sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, they're definitely not as good as like the South Park actual movie or any of this. They're not like great episodes or whatever. But yeah, they were sort of funny to watch. You know, like, haha, COVID. Like, you know, like, COVID's a thing, isn't it? Funny. Imagine if this was over and we could all laugh about things. But yeah, I mean, if you get Paramount Plus to check out Yellow Jackets, which you should, and you find yourself with some free time on your subscription after binge watching it, 7 days for free, everyone, to watch Yellow Jackets, and you've got some days left, then yeah, check out the South Park things, I guess.
Yep. Okay. I watched the Harry Potter special, 20th anniversary special. It was alright. Like, it's not. If you're going into this hoping to find like a great behind the scenes documentary reflection on the time period, this is not it. It definitely has been affected by COVID because there's obviously very small groups and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's cool to see the everybody back on like the sets and that kind of stuff, like interacting with each other, seeing those core 3 cast members like in the same room.
Rupert Grint's alive is the thing that shocked me. I was like, wow.
What?
Where you been?
Who's alive?
Rupert Grint.
Oh, yeah, he's alive, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other two, like, you see them often.
Yeah, you
like,
see them a lot, yeah. But he kind of, yeah, I don't think he followed acting much after that. But yeah, I mean, it's cool, obviously, seeing them all in the same room. The solid laugh is they're all very happy that they look much better than what they look like in the epilogue, so...
It's true.
They do. But yeah, I think, you know, it is broken up in obviously like 4 different segments, like grouping together a bunch of movies. And it does like kind of do like a brief history of the movies. But yeah, I think coming out of this, I think the main takeaway I think is I have a lot more appreciation for what Christopher Columbus did in those first 2 movies. Like building the world and it's like getting the proper aesthetics and like casting and all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, and then also it's still awkward. Obviously, J.K. Rowling is barely in this.
Yeah,
everything is but
this.
like a couple of like archived interviews from like
I googled because I wanted to know because I want to watch it, but I was like I haven't got time yet, and it's like there's other stuff I'd prefer to watch first, but I do want to possibly get around to it. But I did want to know the answers to that, so I googled. I'm like, is J.K. Rowling in this, and found some article that was I think the article said that like yes she is mentioned, but it's also always in a like quickly rush through. Here's some interviews that aren't obviously from this and were probably from years ago, and apparently there's always like a text or a font that says this interview was recorded in the year something or like to like cover their like we didn't pay her recently, we haven't like talked to her recently, like it's interesting. I kind of compared it to the Friends special that they did a couple of months ago. I think this feels like more highly produced and like definitely more on a close set and less of like a fun get together. And it's kind of weird because they like obviously brought back lots of people, but like they're barely in it. Like they bring back like Neville and one of the other Gryffindor people to talk with Tom Felton for a little while, but it's like maybe 3 minutes of the entire special and that kind of stuff. So there's some odd bits and pieces in it, but yeah, I think overall it got me nostalgic for that
period of time in those movies. So, yeah, I think it was pretty good. All right, that's kind of the bulk of the television stuff. Dylan, tell me about the documentary Burning.
Oh, right, Burning. Burning was really good. This was nominated for something, I think, but I can't remember off the top of my head, right? What was it nominated for? Was it nominated for something? Or am I making that up?
I don't think so.
I swear it was. So Burning is the...
It only came out this year, right?
Last year. Like, it came out earlier last year, I
It's
think.
listed 2021.
Yeah, that's last year.
Oh, yeah. Fuck. Sorry.
Got you. This is in a long line of documentaries made about the Australian bushfires, Black Summer, as it's sort of become known as, I guess, 2019, 2020. It's the 2015th million one I watched in the period of 2022. Well, it's not really, but I did watch a few. This is the best.
Probably.
This is the best one. This is the best one. Its point of view of it, well, it's hard because some of them a little bit less focused. Obviously, some don't have much money. This one has more money behind it, and you can tell, obviously. But I'd still say it's hard not to say it's the best one. The point of view from it is obviously fires bad. Fires ruin people's lives. Fires destroy the Australian forest. That will take, however long to grow back. Some, obviously, a bunch of it still doesn't grow back. But I'd say the point of view, and I think it's just around 90 minutes or something, but the direction is like very, make sure to always sort of come in every 15 minutes and go, and what the fuck was Scott Morrison up to at this point? Like, its direction is like, it does go into his like Hawaii trip. It does go into like his, the fact that has interviews with someone, I can't remember his name or his official job title, but someone who was on the Australian government prior to him, whose job was to basically look into stuff like bushfires and like environmental things, and then sort of report back and be like, hey, here's my findings, here's what's possibly going to happen, we should probably prepare for this, and how all of his advice was basically... And I couldn't help but thinking about Don't Look Up watching this, to be honest, because there was a lot of like, he's talking about stuff being like, I said this, and this would happen, but it was like, nah, we'll be right. She'll be right, mate. Nah, don't worry about that. It covers a lot of the whole, how Australia's completely fucked up, for ages, and how, global warming was something that Morrison's government, would never want to talk about, didn't want to bring it. No, it's not a real thing. It's not a real thing. It makes sure to have the part in here of the fucking coal in court and all that sort of stuff with old fuckface. So it goes into a lot of that stuff. That's sort of the direction of it. Like it does go, hey, here's bushfires. It doesn't have it has some interviews of people who were there and who lost their houses and stuff, but it isn't a prominent factor. It primarily focuses on is interviews with people being like, like some dude who's like being a firefighter for years. He's like other volunteer firefighter, them talking about how bad they were from their perspective. Another dude being like, look, I tried to get my word through. I said for years that the fires were getting worse and worse and worse and something really bad was going to happen, but no one wanted to listen to me. So that's sort of the focus is on how so many people were saying shit's going to happen, how so many people were saying, global warming, shit's going to happen, and how our government sort of is not entirely at fault because, of course, Mother Nature was the sort of flick that lit the flame or whatever, but how they are the reason that Australia wasn't prepared to fight or help deal with the fires when they did happen. So that's sort of the perspective of the documentary. But I'd say it's really good. It's definitely worth watching. It's on Prime.
Awesome. I checked out a documentary on Binge called Beanie Mania. It follows the rise and fall of Beanie Babies during the 1990s. Really interesting following this like kind of cul-de-sac of women in Chicago where the craze sort of started off, and these women kind of rose to become major people in the world of Beanie Babies. Like, one of them started like a magazine, another was like a big influencer. Like, this is 1990s as well. And like, kind of explaining why Beanie Babies became such a massive craze. And then subsequently like kind of crashed and burned and that kind of thing. Really interesting look at, this craze. And probably kind of super relevant given what's happening in the collectibles market at the moment with NFTs and like Pokemon cards and stuff. So, yeah, pretty interesting. How some of these women are still making money off Beanie Babies. Like one of them like is a verifier of like proper Beanie Babies, because at some point like they were starting to ship in like fake Beanie Babies from China, because of course that's what always happens and that kind of stuff. So quite an interesting documentary. So I would recommend checking that out. We might quickly go over a few of these, because a lot of these are like stuff that I suspect that we watched, trying to like narrow down our best movie or catch up for our best of 2021. Dylan, tell me about Riders of Justice.
Mads Mikkelsen's wife dies and he would like revenge. However, this movie it's an odd one. It does that similar sort of thing that I guess Another Round does, like where it's drama, serious film. However, it's not afraid at times to fall into sort of a dark comedy, although it's not entirely a dark comedy. Like it just sort of flicks genres. But the setup is the movie opens with a sequence of events, like, hey, someone gets their bike stolen. Oh, so someone gets their bike stolen, and it's his daughter's bike gets stolen. So then the mother goes to drive the kid to school in the morning. Oh no, the car breaks down. Oh no, then they have to catch a subway. They're on the subway. This dude comes along. He says, oh, he's sitting there. He gives up his seat for Mads Mikkelsen's wife. Then all of a sudden, big, I can't remember what the cause of it is. A bomb or something goes off. And then she dies. The daughter survives because she's standing, and the guy survives as well. So then the guy starts feeling bad because he's like, if I hadn't have given up my seat, the wife still would have been alive. So he starts this whole thing of trying to track down what the cause of the bomb was, and like, we need to get justice for why who was the target of it. Like, I need to help. So then he tracks down Mads Mikkelsen's character, and with some friends, they start basically that's why it's called Riders of Justice. They figure out who they think is the cause, which is this sort of mob leader dude who was also a bikie gang leader who was on the train, and they're gonna get justice for those who died because of him, and especially his wife and stuff. Meanwhile, the daughter's like going through this crisis where she's like having boards in a room, like she's doing full, if like pinboardy things, like if my bike hadn't got stolen, like this happened, like all cause and effect sort of butterfly effect sort of thing. So the movie both delves into like it's a revenge thing, it's a what is the butterfly effect a real thing sort of movie. Mads Mikkelsen's really good in it. The supporting cast is really, really good. I can't remember their names because they're not like actors I can say I've seen before, but they're really like the two other, like they're really smart, but they're just odd characters who are brought in to help, like hackers and this sort of stuff. But there's like one scene where some dude like has a complete mental breakdown because he's the other dude's like computer and monitors aren't big enough and he can't use them, and it's really odd scene. And you just got Mads Mikkelsen standing there as the tough guy because that's what he plays in this movie, like tough guy with a beard or whatever. He comes back from Iraq or wherever I think he was stationed right after his wife dies, gets the call and stuff like that. So it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I think I'm glad that Mads continues to sort of dip back into his Danish
roots.
He's it's like a lot of Australian actors. What do? Fuck off and leave. They get popular, fuck off and leave. He's really popular in Hollywood, still come back, making time. Yeah. But it's good.
Yep. Tell me about Antlers.
Antlers was sort of one of the most anticipated, I feel, horror movies from last year that got delayed a couple times and stuff like that. I think, where did it end up? Oh, Disney is where it was, because it's fucking Star or whatever. It was really weird to actually have to. I was like, where is it, Disney? How odd. Carrie Russell plays the main character. She's a teacher. Sorry, I'm trying it's been some of these ones were like right after the last episode. Now I'm like, it's been like a month and a half. She's a teacher and she like starts feeling bad for this boy in her class who she can tell is sort of just a loner, possibly having trouble at home. Jesse Plemons plays her brother, who she's staying with at the time, and he's like the sheriff in town or whatever. So start investigating the kid, and you don't really know. It's not a spoiler to say because you see it like within the first 10, 15 minutes of the movie or whatever. but you know, some sort of monster attacked this kid's father and his older brother. And periodically throughout the movie, you keep seeing this kid basically come back and feed them in their attic, and they're slowly getting more and more deformed throughout the movie going, and he's having trouble, like, obviously dealing with that. And then you've got Kerry Russell investigating and stuff like that. So I would say it's like, it like plays on, I guess, Lovecraftian like themes and monsters and stuff similar to that. Or maybe even, I guess it would be more, what do you call it? Like, you know, from, actually now that I've thought more about it, it's coming back to me. It's actually more, because they very briefly cover it at one stage in the movie. Like Native American folklore, like, you know, well, you didn't play it, did you? Was that really popular PS3 horror game? The one I fucking can't remember the name of. And then that studio makes all these, you know, all the other games.
Until Dawn.
Until Dawn. So like Until Dawn has
PS4
like,
game.
PS4 game, right? You know, PlayStation podcast, PlayStation Platinum Switch. You know, they've got all these like monsters in it. I think it's based on similar sort of like similar backings or whatever, which I think is like Native American, like, what do you want to call it? What do you want to call it? Like, what would you call that? Like,
Windingo.
Yeah, Windingos, whatever, that sort of stuff. I think it's like that similar sort of stuff is where it would be based upon. With maybe some Lovecraftian themes as well. I feel like as the direction goes. It's okay. I think it's shot well. Performances are okay. I just don't feel like it nails its themes or uses them appropriately, even though I can pick up on them and like what's there, but I just don't feel like it does anything with them to make them stand out. And just really doesn't hit the nail on the head for the ending. But yeah, I thought it was okay. I've seen some people say, like, tweet and say it's like it was bad and stuff. I think it was okay.
All right, explain to me Psycho Gorman.
This was the left field. I'd seen people talk about this movie a lot, obviously. I guess in like the horror space or whatever you want to call it. It's like being a popular 2021 movie release. And I kept being like, I gotta watch that one day. And of course, it was one of those movies that got right down the end of the year. I'm like, fuck, I should finally watch Psycho Gorman, shouldn't I? So the premise of this movie, and it is purposely ridiculous, but boy, does it nail it. Like, it knows what this movie is, and it fucking nails it. It's these two kids, and they dig up, I think it is how it works. I can't even remember now. They dig up, I think it's this alien creature, like crash lands or whatever, they discover it, however it works, like, which is Psycho Gorman. It would annihilate everyone on Earth. It's a bad motherfucker. It wants to kill everyone. It's a bad guy. However, the kids, and by kids I mean maybe like 10, is the little girl, and she's like sort of the main character, and then her brother as well. I think they're both maybe like around 10, 11 or something probably. They dig up and discover a crystal gem thing, I think it is, which if holding, she gets to control. She tells him what to do. Like, he has no control. All of a sudden, she has control of him. So straight away, you think the movie's going to start, and it's like, oh my God, these little kids are about to get killed, stuff like that. Of course, little girl discovers a monster. Straight away, she's telling it to do ridiculous things like play basketball with them. They're going on clothes shopping trips, and you've got this weird looking like alien monster thing going on trips. And then you have like, I can't even spoil it all, but at some stage other monsters like come down. It is the monster designs are fantastic. I think like all the alien designs and stuff like that. They're all real costumes. They all look really, really great. I also think the kids' performances sort of make the movie, because she's just like, I want to say like, evil may be a bit too far, but it is that evil little girl thing where she's got way too much power that a girl that with those sort of tendencies should have. But it's just like, it is a horror movie. Like, it has moments of blood and gore. However, it's so over the top. It's like, you could watch it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not really meant to be scary. It's just sort of obviously ridiculousness. And the finale of this movie, of what happens and how everything ends up playing out, is just nonsensical. I don't even know. Like, I was watching it going, what the fuck am I watching? Like, I was just so confused. But yeah, it definitely straight away is that thing you watch and go, I understand why this has a cult following, and I'm happy to join it at this point because I was hooked. I was watching it going, this is just great. Like it was just a fun time. It was just a ridiculously fun time with a very silly movie, a very silly premise, but it just nails everything. It knows exactly what it wants to be. It wants to be an over the top, on your nose, silly horror movie. Doesn't take itself too seriously, so neither should you. However, because it's like a love letter to sort of those B movie, C movie sort of stuff, it nails what it wants to do. So they're talking about doing a sequel, but I'm like, fuck, I don't know if you might ruin it because it's such a magic in a bottle scenario. I feel that movie. But yeah, I'd happily watch it again a few more times, check it on and just enjoy it. But really, really good.
All right. Talk to me about Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Bar.
So obviously this one I managed to get Jamie Dornan through to our top 5 lists, best supporting actor, comedy actor. I think it was it's I think it's most comparable to Austin Powers, to be honest. This movie, tonally. Christian Wiig, and I can't remember the other actress's name because I don't really think I've seen her much. I think obviously she must be in SNL or something like that, but not that I've seen. If you look that up, but I think Christian Wiig plays Star, but she also plays the bad guy, and a very over the top bad guy makeup, bad guy vibes in a room. Looks like some over the top bad guy setting that you've seen in like Austin Powers movie. She's a bunch of henchmen. Have you found it?
And Annie Momolo.
There you go. That person. So they're like, it starts with them just having a really silly conversation. It's got like that Kath and Kim vibe, I guess, but it's like American Kath and Kim vibe where the way these two characters talk to each other if does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like if Kath and Kim's like very Australian-y, they're like just that American housewife or whatever, I guess, sort of thing. Neither are housewives though. Neither have husbands, which is an important point because they decide they're finally going to take a holiday, and they take a holiday to wherever they go, Del Vista, whatever it is. And when they go there, that's the place, unfortunately, that the evil character is planning to fucking attack with bees or something utterly ridiculous. I can't remember, like kill. It's something silly. Trying to attack because when she was younger, she got made fun of there, which is what I'll leave it at because it's like a important point in the movie. So she wants to get revenge on them all. So Jamie Dornan's her boyfriend, in quotation marks, because he's in love with her, although the movie makes it very obvious very early that she's just using him, doesn't care for him at all. So she sends him down there, and he needs to be there in a couple of days to like press a button or whatever to activate this whole evil plot. However, while at the beach house, Jamie Dornan's character runs into Barb and Star, who they both, I think in their first night, end up having a 3-way with him. And then afterwards, they all decide that they're in love with him. And then they each sneak out on one another to like have dates with him, which is a funny sequence of events. And that's kind of the movie, I guess, to a degree, is that it's just a weird sort of movie. Of course, I don't say like how they get involved and end up saving the day and whatever the hell else happens, but that's sort of, it's like someone wants to destroy a town. Jamie Dornan's there. He has a fantastic sequence where he sings a song about seagulls. It's fucking amazing. I love it. It's awesome. There's a lot of it. He's really good in this. Not just that scene, but he's quite funny. Like I think he proved in this movie he can do comedy quite well, especially because it's that performance where he's not meant to be the funny one, you know, like he's the serious one. The other two are doing the more like straight comedy performances. So, but he does it so well, like coming along what they're doing. So, yeah, I really liked it. I think it's good. I know a lot of people have actually put it in their top 10 lists and stuff like that. I think maybe not being American, some of the jokes don't hit as well for me as maybe they do if you are American. Again, maybe that whole, but they're Kath and Kim, but for Americans, I'm like, yeah, but I can see that, but I don't feel it within me. Like maybe it doesn't hit as well, but yeah, so I think it's good, but I know a lot of people love it, and it's sort of one of those random movies I've seen pop up in people's lists that I reckon a lot of people don't even realize this movie released last year, because I think it went straight to streaming services. So
yep.
It was like a straight to pay VOD or whatever, I think.
Yeah, it was a straight to VOD movie, I think. Yeah, so. All right. Talk to us about Saint Maud.
Saint Maud is it's an A24 horror movie that's not made by A24. It's this girl Saint Maud Maud who's a carer, I think is what. Yeah, like she's the nurse or whatever that lives with someone who is dying or has like needs a 24/7 care or whatever, and she lives with this person. But the entire time she has like something that's off just about her, and she sort of has it's hard because there's not too much of a story to it other than it's just a very slow build mood piece that sort of obviously explodes towards the end, but it plays into a lot of themes of, I guess, religion, primarily religion, I guess, and what people can believe in and what may make them true. Mental illness, I guess, is another thing and stuff like that. I think it's good. I think I've seen a lot of people top this, or at least top 5 this in their best horror movies of last year. I think it was just a bit too drawn out for me. Again, I think it should have, like, if it had been tightened up, it would have been a lot better. But yeah, definitely one of the better horror movies that released out of last year. If I was to do a top 10 list, it would be on it, but not my top 5.
Okay. What about the documentary Val?
Val's very good. The Val Kilmer documentary, where it's told from it's obviously he's not dead, so just to clarify in case you didn't know. But his son does the narration because Val Kilmer had was it throat cancer? Yeah, throat cancer. So. He's recovering from it, but of course he's lost most of his like voice, and he has the speech thingy, box thingy. I don't know what they're actually called. I'm sorry, but and then he's now he's trying to talk properly, but it's hard to understand him at times. He does talk in the movie, but obviously it's just he has to he wouldn't be able to do the full movie narration and stuff like that. But it's just him talking about his life, just being like, hey, I had all this footage from my years. I feel like now's a great time to make this movie because I just have, it's one of those like you have a near death experience, I guess, and he just wants to sort of celebrate life and talk about things, and that's what the movie's about. It's just him just talking about how he grew up, his love of movies, his family's love of movies. There's some things I didn't know about him in here, like he lost one of his brothers when he was really young. They used to make a lot of family movies together. He had some financial trouble for his dad. That was quite interesting to learn about. It covers everything through to even, Batman Forever. And the funny thing I learned about that was which he hated making that, and they actually asked him to come back for the next one, but he was like, nah, fuck that shit. Which is quite funny. All the way up into his most recent stuff, of course, and talks about his final performances and like what he hopes to do in the future and stuff. But yeah, I think in general, it's not like doesn't dive into any particulars, of course, because he's involved and he's there, and maybe there isn't any, but it doesn't like have any like dark side to Val or whatever. It's just sort of like, if you like Val Kilmer, if you like his movies, if you'd like a little bit more backstory, some interesting tidbits from those movies, especially his most popular ones, of course, then this is like an interesting watch.
A film that I watched was Little Fish. So this was like a sci-fi romantic drama. Starring Olivia Cooke and Jack O'Connell, following this couple who are also in the middle of like a massive pandemic. This pandemic, however, is causing people to lose their memories. So it's like this sudden like dementia wave is crossing the country, and like people are starting to just slowly losing their memories. Either all at once or like slowly over time, and of course, one of the Jack O'Connell's character starts to show symptoms of him starting to lose his memory, and it's about them trying to deal with that. And like, it's very timely. There's like elements that like would kind of ring true with what we've seen recently of like they're working on trying to figure out a cure, and like. When there's a potential that there's going to be human trials for certain things, there's like hundreds and hundreds of people waiting outside places trying to get an opportunity of potentially getting a cure for that kind of thing. And then there's all these potential home remedies that are being put out that are worse than the actual disease itself and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I've thought it was really good. Jack O'Connell and Olivia Cooke give great performances. was pretty close to being on my top 10 for last year, but yeah, I don't know, just something didn't quite click. I didn't really love the ending of the film, but yeah, I thought it was quite good. Dylan, before we jump to the mandatory Netflix segment of this show, there's a movie I believe you want to get people to avoid watching. Oh, Battleground Melbourne.
Yeah, fuck it. I nearly feel like bad talking about it. But if you see, look, let me put it this way. If you see anyone tweeting about this movie, talking about this movie, Battleground Melbourne, maybe if you live outside Australia, you probably wouldn't have heard about it. But like, they did a whole Kickstarter or fucking whatever. I remember seeing that, mid last year or whenever the money was being raised to make this. And at the time thinking, he won't even make it. Betcha it falls through. Anyway, he made it. Topher Fields, the fuckface director who made it. Don't sue me. And then so basically they're all anti-vaxxers, anti-maskers, anti-things. But the whole movie, so obviously its agenda is fuck Dan Andrews for the most part. That's sort of the thing. Dan Andrews is Hitler. He ruined Melbourne. He's ruined the greatest city in the world. Like, that's sort of their take on everything. I gave this a 1 on Trakt, obviously, by the way. But the thing that makes it even worse, it is just say, yes.
It's currently sitting at a 5.5. There's only 2 reviews. So
someone gave it,
someone gave it a 10. You've given it a 1.
Mass, eh? Fucking, that means the Tractor's fuckfaces on it. Yeah, I don't know why I kept watching it, to be honest. Again, I feel bad I watched it all. It is free on YouTube. So to clarify, I didn't pay for it. You don't have to pay for it. It is free on YouTube. I think that was sort of the thing, like, fund us, how much money they got, and we'll make this movie that shows the true story of what's happening to the real people being affected in Melbourne or something. I think that was the pitch. It goes for like 1:40 or something. It's fucking long. And it's all just talking heads, incorporated with like news stories from Sunrise, 7 News, whatever, 10 News, whatever. That's all it is. Or interviews of Dan Andrews from TV and stuff like that. So it just covers the anti-vaxxer, anti-lockdown, whatever you want to call them, point of view on what's been happening for the last couple of years through COVID times, obviously, in Melbourne, which is the most lockdown city in the world. That's not them overselling it. It is the most lockdown city in the world. But their point of view is quite often just nonsensical, to be honest. Like, anytime where it's like, you could be like, yeah, I understand. Like, they'll be like, it's just hard being locked down for this. You're like, yeah, like, I understand that. And that really sucks or whatever. And they'll be like, like Dan Andrews, like, he's ruining lives. He's basically killing people and stuff like that. And all, like, suddenly it's just like takes such a, you know what I mean? Like, it'll be like, every time someone new appears, you're like, kind of like, oh yeah, like, maybe this is the one person. No, straight away.
She'll talk sense.
Yeah, but they're all just completely off. I mean, even like, it's funny because as we're recording now, Melbourne had another mass protest or whatever like a couple days ago. And I saw that pop up on Twitter after having watched this, where everyone in this is like, we're sick of lockdowns. We want to be free. We've lost our freedom. So many people in this say, we've lost our freedom. We've lost our freedom. I'm like, like, they compare it to Nazi Germany. I'm like, the fact you can go out and protest and at worst get pepper sprayed and you're not dying, you're not getting taken to fucking concentration camps or whatever. Like, comparing it to Nazi Germany is just so fucking dumb. Like,
everybody compares everything to the most extreme thing possible. So I mean,
but they say it so like that is always their go-to. They're like, living in Melbourne's like living in Nazi Germany. That's what it's like. But yeah, they were protesting again this week, and I'm like, what are you protesting? Like, it's done. We're all got COVID now. Like, isn't that what you wanted? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
you fucked us all.
Yeah, like, isn't that the thing? They're like, no, we're still going to protest.
No, it hasn't spread enough. That's what the problem is.
Yeah, fucking. People in this are just like, oh, first I want you to get a vaccine. Like, take your mask on, take your mask off. It's like, they're like, oh, where are you even getting this information from? They say it's a scientist, but I don't see where that is. Like, it's just a lot of like, like, they say it's a science, but they don't show us and all this fucking bullshit. Anyway, it's terrible. Don't watch it. I watched it because I couldn't help myself. It was like watching a train crash.
You watched it, so we didn't have to.
Yeah, it's important to note I didn't get indoctrinated, so I'm strong. So
good. So it's not.
It's fine. I survived. I didn't come out the other end going, you know what? You are right. Fuck Dan Andrews.
From what I understand, it would have been difficult to get indoctrinated since you can't hear everybody over.
That's true. That's the other thing I should say. That's the worst thing. Like, it's just a bad movie. Like, let alone the topic of it. Just
it's badly put together.
It's badly put together. It's badly edited. The sound mixing's terrible. The pacing between like interviews, like melding into one another and everything like that is just like fucking. It's just whiplash. It's a very badly made documentary, let alone offensive, like to brain cells.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, if you've seen the clip I uploaded on Twitter, it shows this woman, whoever she is, complaining about, we may be able to leave the city one day. We may be able to try to travel internationally, but will we have our freedom? Will we? We won't. We won't really. And it's got this really loud, like, piano sad music playing, and it cuts this other dude, fuckface, talking, and it's just like the music just drops instantly. Like, quick. It's like, the government's fucked us, the government's overfucked us, and the other government's fucked us. It's like, where'd the music go? Like, what was this? What was the transition? It's so rare. It's fucking ridiculous.
All right, let's move into the mandatory Netflix segment of the show. Let's talk about a movie that we've brought up a couple of times in reference to Don't Look Up, the latest Adam McKay film starring Jennifer Lawrence, Leonardo DiCaprio, and a who's to of Hollywood. In which it turns out giant comet about to come hit the planet Earth. Jennifer Lawrence and Leonardo DiCaprio go to the president and say, hey, giant comet coming toward Earth. And he's like, Meryl Streep playing the president goes, that's not good for our numbers. We'll get onto it later. And then, shit goes from there. Dylan, what'd you think of Don't Look Up?
I like it. I think it's too long, bit too on the nose, but ultimately I enjoyed watching it. I think there's definitely some funny parts in here. I think the fact that I've brought it up several times, like as reference points, like even when I was in Canberra visiting Cherie, and because she watches as well, I'd see something or read something, I'd be like, oh, this reminds me of that scene, and it's like the fact I've referenced it several times, I'm like, it must. Like, it says something. Like, I'm not saying it's the best movie ever made, but like, it has there's some funny things. Like, there's one scene right at the end. I don't want to spoil everything, I guess, in case people want to watch it. But there's like always this one scene at the end where they literally do the "Don't Look Up" moment that I just think is like it's so on the nose, and it's like dumb. It's not even like it's not like you'd be like, oh, what a perfect written scene, but it just works. I'm just like, it just works for everything that's sort of happening. COVID, bushfires. Global warming. Like, you could use it for so many things, and it's like the perfect sort of encapsulation of how dumb both people are in the world and how dumb the governments like nearly all around the world are for dealing with this sort of shit. So, but yeah, I think it's pretty funny. I just think it's way too long. I think there's a subplot in it, a romance subplot that's totally unnecessarily needed. You take that entire thing out, I think it makes the movie so much better. I don't love Leo in it. Don't hate him in it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the characters are more or less non-existent. Like, they're not really characters. They're just sort of shells to move this, like the bits that are happening around them. They don't really have much to them. So other than that, but yeah, it's funny. A lot of people are like, this movie's amazing. It's going to win an Oscar. Other people, I guess I'm more in there like, yeah, it's good. I guess like it's fine. Like I enjoyed watching it. And then you have the like, this movie is bad. So
yeah. Yeah, I agree with all your points, but I just don't like it as much as you. I was just kind of very indifferent on a lot of the movie, and just seeing some of the action around it has been kind of turned me off a little bit. It's like seeing people go, oh my god, this movie is so amazing, it is so real, this is what would really happen. It's like, go watch a fucking documentary, man. Go watch Bernie. And then, no, it doesn't have Leonardo DiCaprio in it, so what's the point? Yeah, I mean, there's some funny bits, like you said, that to look up moment. And then, like, it's kind of got, like, a super depressing ending, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I like how they don't sugarcoat it. Like, even though it's a comedy for the most part, like a dark comedy, I guess. It's just like, that's the point of the movie. Like, Like shit's fucked.
But it's kind of like that. It's you know, it's meant to be a satire, but it's like that same situation that like Saturday Night Live found themselves with Donald Trump, like doing the most outrageous shit every week. How do you satire something that's so
real
and terrible? It's like, yeah.
I know, it's funny because I've seen a lot of people point out too, and I think rightfully so. They're like, because I guess the argument Adam McKay would make, or we presume he would make, for how on the nose the movie is that, but yes, this will help people understand what's happening in the world. But I've seen other people point out that most likely the only people watching this movie are already the people who are aware of the fact that what it's satiring and like well aware more politically or whatever. So really it's not doing the same or reaching the masses or the groups of people that Adam McKay thinks he is, I guess, touching, which I think is a sort of valid criticism or point about how, because it is very on the nose on purpose. And that's sort of what it's to its detriment, you know, sort of brings the tone down in such a weird way.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Next up, season 6 of Queer Eye. Can you believe it had been over a year since we got a season of Queer Eye? I think that might have been the longest time period between seasons.
Well, there's usually like less than 12, like usually 2 a year, basically.
Almost.
Yeah.
But yeah, amazing still. Like, it still got me. I think it's actually really interesting. Obviously, that first episode, they go through the 5 days or whatever, and then COVID shuts down production. And
yeah, they must have filmed it like early 2020, I guess.
Yeah. So with this mother who's having issues with his daughter, and all this other stuff. And then it's interesting because they come back a year later. It's not like they cut to the house. They've got this fun video package all put together, which raises questions about how they do those segments, I guess. Like,
they leave people behind to film them is how I've always just...
And then they go back. They don't watch that video until like...
They don't... I guess
a
they
month
watch
or
it
so later.
I assumed it's always just like a week or less than a week.
But yeah, they go back a year later. And I thought that was really interesting. I kind of wish they did that with more.
I'm going to be the exact same. As soon as I saw that happen, I was like, why aren't we doing this for basically everyone? Like...
Or why aren't you just doing a spin-off series where you do...
But I don't get it.
You go back and visit the people.
If you film it over several months, by the time you're getting around to filming the last episode, check back in with the first people. You know what I mean? Like, you've got the span of time. Or just happily sit on it for a couple months. You're not going to release it straight away anyway. Sit on it for a couple months and then just come in, film the segments where you have the Fab Five call in, and then it's not like they require much production to then cut into the end of each episode. You've already edited them. You just got to cut these other bits in. Just leave it. I think it would elevate the episodes a lot, to be honest.
I think it would be really interesting because obviously you see like the effects. One, like Jonathan's like self-care and like grooming stuff, how they've taken that on, what they've taken from like Tan's fashion elements. They're able to interview them and talk about what effect Ramos' influences had on them. I mean, Antonio doesn't do anything. But then imagine if you go to their house and see how they've ruined all the Bobby's work. In the essence. Yeah. That would be great. But yeah, I thought they got a bunch of really good, interesting people this season. Yeah. And like, especially with COVID and like, that
was
kind
a
of
heavy
stuff, like,
COVID focus season, I guess.
Focus season, like obviously they help a bunch of kids at their school prom, like have a school prom.
I didn't love that.
You didn't love that?
No, it felt very weird because I'm like, there's other kids here, right?
Oh yeah, why is it just these?
Yeah, so they've got like 10 kids or whatever that they like pay. They pay for all their clothing. They chuck in this big party or whatever. Obviously, they redo part of the school or whatever. But I'm like, other kids were coming here. I understand these are like the A+ students or whatever, the ones that are doing all the hard work or whatever, and they're part of the team or whatever. But it just felt a bit weird, like to be like, well, we're going to make sure these are okay. But I'm like, what about the rest of the kids? What about the rest that's stuck at home? Mental health is deteriorating because they're stuck and can't like talk to people or whatever. Like it just felt, that was the one where that felt a little off to me. Like I enjoyed it.
Maybe in hindsight, but yeah, I enjoyed it in the moment. But yeah, there's a lot of other ones. Like I really like the baking, the lady. That was good.
Yeah, making the
all the Japanese, the Asian pastries and
with the barrette and shit.
Yeah, really good season. I really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed most of it.
What was there something you didn't enjoy?
Let me quickly. I just brought it up. So, like first episode. Here's my ratings. First episode, okay. That's the one we're talking about. It's a woman. Daughter wants her to like act her age, I guess, mostly. Second one is trans powerlifter. Powerlifter. Yeah. I think that was my favorite episode. Probably that was like the most sort of like Queer Eye feeling story, like actual like helping someone a lot. I felt. Third episode, no more the rancher dude. Didn't like that one. Didn't really like him. Whatever. I was like, get out of here. It was okay. Like again, this is my I've given it a 7 on Trakt because I'm like it was okay. But like my personal feelings are like I didn't really like the dude, so like I'm not rating it lower because of that. But that's just my like feelings. The Night to Remember thing, that's the school one. Again, I just felt a little bit weird about that one. The crab dude one I quite liked because it was all about like his wife, and you could tell he just has been unable to like sort of move on after the passing of his wife. I felt again that felt like more in tone with probably what the show has been always. Next one is I quite like the next one, which was the woman who's like set up the clinic to do like vaccinations and stuff like that. That was a heavy coronavirus turned episode. Obviously, she's got no time to herself, obviously affecting her family life and stuff like that. That was a good one. The animal one was, I think, the one I cried the most in. I wasn't she was okay. I don't know. Like ultimately, I can't look back. They didn't give her like too much of a life-changing experience. I don't really feel like compared to some other people. However, I think what she was doing, just being like getting told about what she does for people or whatever, that was the thing. And also seeing Anthony just weirdly like gravitate and like hook onto her. So like you could tell like that was a real moment for him. Like that wasn't some faked like reality TV show bullshit where you could tell he just sort of fell for this woman, and not even like not romantically, but like he was like, oh, this is amazing. Like the stories were like just hitting him in the heart straight away. The next one was I quite liked. I thought the next one was good too. The dude who was like at first you're like, what's this dude silly? But he's like helping set up all these shelters for homeless people, all this stuff. That's always great to see, especially with the high rate of homeless people around the world, especially in America. I joined the baking one. That was good too. Helping her out with her business, her workplace, and then her look and vibe and stuff like that. And then the last episode was okay, I guess. Like the dude who's just struggling with being creative. He was like a up and coming rap star, COVID affected performances. But ultimately, in the scheme of things, and not to say like his mental health isn't as important as anyone else's, but I feel like it's just in like an episode ranking. I feel like just that being the finale, I was a bit like, oh, that's the last one. Like,
to be honest, they've never been very good at
properly ordering them. Yeah.
So yeah, Queer Eye, 6 seasons. Looking forward to season 7. Dylan, tell me about the animated movie Extinct.
Animated movie Extinct.
It's about the little animals that have a hole in their belly.
Oh fuck! This thing was shit. I completely forgot about it. Yeah, this thing was bad. This is a bad movie. So what are their names on? Let me see if it quickly says. Flummels, here we are. So it's about this species of animals called flummels. Obviously this is a kids movie. Flummels, they're donut shaped, and then the plot is basically that I can't even remember how now, they somehow time travel into the future, and they learn that they actually become extinct, hence the name of the movie. And then they run into all these other animals that are like becoming extinct, and then this other animal, this dog, is like in charge of this like time traveling place where he's like pulling them all in. So he like pulls in a dinosaur and a dodo and all this sort of stuff, and they're like working together. Anyway, the plot of the movie is that the Flummels, these two characters played by Adam Devine and Rachel Bloom, are trying to work to stop their species from becoming extinct somehow and get back to their time period and stop stuff that's happening. The cast is actually interesting. So you got Zazie Beetz, Ken Jeong, Jeong plays a character. Jim Jeffries plays Tasmanian tiger. So
Makes sense.
they had to get Australian, I guess. Catherine O'Hara? No, yeah. Let's double check. Yes. She plays the fucking Elmer thing. Yeah. And then Reggie Watts is really good in this. Quite enjoyed seeing him in this. I'd love some Reggie Watts. And there's other people in this, like Benedict Wong's in it and everything. Henry Winkler. Like, the cast is good, but it's just a bad movie. Like, the jokes didn't land for me. I didn't find it that entertaining. I watched this at Cherie's with a child, so I could see. Doesn't get child approval either. I don't think this is getting a replay. This isn't a like. There's no way this is a let's put on Extinct. This isn't happening, right? So adults didn't like it. Kid didn't like it. Nah, thumbs down.
All right. Last one. You watched most of the series, Catching Killers.
Yeah, this one's okay. Like, this is just in that reign of Netflix puts out a million fucking crime doco things, and some of them are bad, some of them are really good, some of them are just okay. This falls into that ranks. The first episode was good. The first episode was pretty good. Not a story I knew. The second episode was I can't remember her name, but it's the movie that I knew the story because it's mental blank of a fucking name. From Charlize Theron had done this movie years ago, like Monster. 2003, Monster, I think. Yeah. And that's the story. Like, that's the one. That one was less interesting. Third one's a bit better. I haven't watched part 2 of it yet. But yeah, it's that whole like good, okay. Maybe the last one's okay, good. So overall, but yeah, nothing special. That's it. It's watchable. Yeah.
All right, and that's everything that we've been watching.
Holy fuck.
Yep. Yeah, we probably should not take another month-long break again.
I mean, that's actually not even everything I've been watching, to be honest. Like, if I look at my Trakt history, there is stuff here that we haven't talked about. And not to say that I need to, I'm just like clarifying.
I thought I hit most of it, but yeah, okay.
Like, let me just run down. I'm not going to talk about them because I think it's fine. And none of this is like big enough. But it's like, I watched The Croods, I watched The Good Dinosaur.
Oh, yeah.
I watched that other Tiger King series, the Doc Antle one. I watched Twister.
Okay. So I did cherry pick some stuff.
Yeah. I watched the Paranormal Activity recent movie.
I thought you talked about that before.
No, I watched First Cow. Till Death.
You talked about that on the best of, though.
I did.
So,
yeah. But,
yes.
yeah, too. Till Death. Come True, Death of 2021. I finally watched Heels, which I only briefly talked about when you talked about it in your top 10 thing or whatever. I finished Ted Lasso. That was alright, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Sparks Brothers, but obviously that was my list. 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. Crazy documentary. In the Heights I finally watched. Velvet Underground I watched. Tick Tick Boom I finally watched. I can't remember if that was the last episode or not. Maybe it was. Anyway, there was some stuff. Yeah. Just the same. Like, that was all that, and there was still stuff. So,
guess what? We've still got 3-4 segments to go.
Imagine if in that time off I hadn't have actually gone on a trip somewhere and I'd just been staying at home watching stuff. We would have been here for 5 hours because I would have just watched nothing but.
All right. Let's move on to the next thing on our agenda. Our Trakt 2021 year in reviews. So every year, we go back using the excellent TV and movie tracking service Trakt, which, if you have a VIP membership, you get your full 2021 year in review. You can access it any time of the year. You don't need to wait for them to send it out to you like a certain other service in which people use films and give 5 stars to everything. You don't have to wait till them to send it to you. Letterbox. Yeah. Trakt, you can access your year in review at any point, and you get a bunch of cool stats. So, yeah, we're just going to run through our statistics. Start off with Dylan. What was the first thing you watched in 2021?
First thing I watched in 2021 on January 1st at 12 p.m. or 12 something. Yeah, 12 or whatever, 3 p.m. Yes, p.m. Bump.
Impressive, because it came out that day.
Episode 1.
Cool. My first play was January 2nd, 10:05 p.m. Uncut Gems.
Wow.
Clearly, pretty sure it was like some sort of catch up.
Yeah, I assume that was you watching it to decide if all the raving about it being best movie material was worth it.
Yep. All right. How many hours of television did you watch in 2021?
I watched 479 hours of 88 TV shows.
All right. I watched 778 hours of 82 television shows.
That does not surprise me.
It's a high number. So that what does that average out to?
What do I look at?
It's how many hours per day?
Oh, per month. Oh, per day, 1.3.
Yeah, so I'm at 2.1 hours per day. Television.
What's your most popular time?
It currently says 12 p.m., but let's be honest, a lot of these are probably off time wise.
Mine's 9 p.m.
Interesting. Yeah, mine's like 12 p.m. or like next up's like 2. Which is surprising because I would have thought like 5 p.m. would have been the best because that's like when a lot of the things drop. So
9 p.m. would make sense to me because it's quite often after we finish recording something and then I watch like an episode or something after we record.
All right. So what are your top 5 most played shows of 2021?
All right. My number 1 most played show. Actually, no, I'll do them the opposite way. Top 5, you said? Can I just? I'll give you the full hours. I'll run down my top 10. I just won't give the hours.
Okay, do the top 10.
Number 10 was Lego Masters. Number 9, because I watched all of it. Number 9 was The Bad Batch. Number 8 was Bluey. Number 7.
Wow. That's impressive.
It goes off plays, not hours, is the thing, I think.
No. Oh, yeah, it's plays.
It's plays, yeah, is the thing. It goes off plays and not hours.
That's less impressive, then.
Yeah. Number 8, Bluey. Number 7, Bump. At least you know I wrap Australia up in here. Number 6, AEW Rampage. All right, so number 5 was Demon Slayer with 26 plays, 10 hours, 13 minutes. Number 4 was Fast and Furious Spy Races. 33 plays, 13 hours, and 45 minutes.
Check about the podcast. It's about family. Redux.
Yeah. Number 3 was Being the Elite. 49 plays for 12 hours and 15 minutes. Number 2 was AEW Dynamite. 52 plays, 3 days, 2 hours, and 32 minutes.
Didn't miss an episode.
Did not miss an episode. And my number 1 most played show of 2021 was Superstore. 87 plays for 1 day, 6 hours, and 31 minutes. So AEW Dynamite would be my most watched show hours-wise. Superstore was my most played show.
All right.
Nearly finished it. I've got a few episodes left, by the way.
Yeah, okay, good to know. Because my number 10 show was Superstore. My number 9 show was Demon Slayer. Number 8 show, Ted Lasso. Number 7 show, Titans. Number 6, Bad Batch. And number 5 is Soul Opposites with 6 hours and 40 minutes for 16 plays. Number 4 is Brooklyn Nine-Nine with 23 plays, 8 hours and 2 minutes. Number 3 is Cowboy Bebop, the animated series. 26 plays, 10 hours, 3 minutes.
Did you watch it twice?
No. There's 26 episodes.
26. Oh, fuck. That's all right. I thought you said the live action one for a second. I was like,
no.
Oh my god.
I specifically said the animated.
Oh my god.
Number 2, New Amsterdam, 64 plays, 1 day, 21 hours, and 37 minutes. My number 1 show with 117 plays over 14 days, 23 hours, and 53 minutes. Critical Role.
That's right. That makes sense.
Yeah, I caught up this season. So
that was early in the year, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was like caught up in April, I think. So yeah. Dylan, what are your top 10 genres?
Number 10, animation, 3%, 7 shows. Number 9, mystery, 4%, 8 shows. Number 7, crime, 7%, 14 shows. Action, 9%, 18 shows. Adventure, 9%, 18 shows. Comedy, 5, 10%, 20 shows. Number 4, documentary, 10%, 21 shows. Number 3, fantasy, 10%, 22 shows. Number 2, science fiction, 10%, 22 shows. And number 1, drama, 15%, 32 shows.
How many total genres did you have listed? No, it's just above the thing it says.
Oh, 210 genres on 41 networks.
Okay. So my number 10, superheroes at 4%, 9 shows. Number 9 is documentary, 4%, 9 shows. Mystery is also 4%, 9 shows. So 7 is animation, 6%, 15 shows. 6 is comedy, 9%, 23 shows. 5 is action, 11%, 28 shows. Adventure is 11, 28 shows. And number 3 is fantasy, 13%, 32 shows. Science fiction at number 2 for 13%, 32 shows. And then drama at number 1, 17%, 42 shows. And that's 250 genres at 43 networks.
Wait.
I don't know what these other genres are.
What's the 2 networks I haven't watched?
I know.
Anime things, maybe? I don't know.
Maybe. Togochi TV?
Yeah, I don't know.
Beamer? Yeah, it might be a bunch of anime stuff. I assume your most watched network is Netflix?
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, that's all the information about TV. Let's move into movies. Dylan, how many movies and how many hours did you watch this year?
I watched 500 hours of 255 movies.
I watched 263 hours of 135 movies.
Yeah, I think every year I bet you smash like more than double my TV, and then I always have more movies than you. And I'd like to think I use my time better.
What was your heaviest week? What's the most movies you watched in 1 week?
Yep, well, that adds up. It is week 2, 22 plays, January 4th to January 10th.
Wow. That's impressive. My highest is 8. That's it. Sometime in July.
How many?
8 movies.
Oh, I thought you meant like 8 week, like week 8 or something.
No, it was week 28.
Yeah, other than week 2, 22 plays, and then week 3, 19 plays. So our holidays at the start of the year. But other than that, everything's like pretty like even like up down, like pretty average curvature.
Okay, that makes me feel better. So how many hours does that equate to per day?
Per day, 1.4.
Okay, well, I got 0.7 per day, so hours of movies.
See, 1.4 a day is a movie a day, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I watched half a movie a day, apparently.
Yeah.
According to players, so. All right, what is your top 5 watched movies 2021?
All right, so just reading backwards, I'll skip the hours. Number 10 was WWE Royal Rumble. Number 9 was The Dry. Number 8 was... Fuck, hold on, my thing just froze. Number 8 was AEW Double or Nothing. Number 7 was AEW Full Gear. Number 6 was New Japan Wrestle Kingdom 15 Night 2. All right.
See, I don't count.
Yeah, they can't. But I'm not sure. Like, I would untick a box. You know what I mean? Like, if I could, I would uncheck a box.
At the end of this, we'll make recommendations
for
Trakt next year.
Like, I would uncheck to include wrestling things. But under their system, they count as movies. So, but yeah, my number 5 is New Japan Wrestle Kingdom 15 Night 1 because it goes for 4 hours, 9 minutes, 1 play. My number 4 is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. 4 hours, 24 minutes across 2 plays. Number 3 was The Suicide Squad, 4 hours, 24 minutes, 2 plays. Number 2 was The Fast and Furious 9, 4 hours, 46 minutes, 2 plays. And number 1, unsurprisingly, was Zack Snyder's Justice League, 8 hours and 4 minutes with 2 plays.
All right. My number 10 is Prisoners. Number 9 is Dune. Number 8 is Eternals. Number 7, No Time to Die. Number 6, Avengers Endgame. Number 5 at 3 hours 2 minutes is Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice Ultimate Edition. Number 4 is Zack Snyder's Justice League at 4 hours 2 minutes. Number 3 is Bo Burnham Inside, 4 hours 21 minutes, 3 plays. Shang-Chi comes in at number 2, or Shang-Chi comes in at number 2, 4 hours 24 minutes with 2 plays. And my number 1 is Spider-Man No Way Home, 4 hours 56 minutes, 2 plays.
Oh, you watched it twice. That's right.
I did watch it twice.
I forgot.
Give us your top 10 genres in movies.
Number 10, crime, 5%, 30 minutes. Movie, sorry. And number 9, documentary, 5%, 30 movies. Number 8, fantasy, 5%, 36 movies. Number 7, adventure, 8%, 53 movies. Number 6, thriller, 8%, 54 movies. Number 5, science fiction, 8%, 56 movies. Number 4, horror, 9%, 57 movies. Number 3, comedy, 9%, 58 movies. Number 2, drama, 12%, 78 movies. And number 1, action, 14%, 95 movies. 661 genres from 50 studios.
All right. Number 10, crime, 3%, 13 movies. Number 9, thriller, 4%, 16 movies. Number 8, documentary, 6%, 22 movies. Number 7, superhero, 6%, 23 movies. Number 6, fantasy, 8%, 30 movies. Number 7, drama, 8%, 32 movies. Number 4, science fiction, 9%, 35 movies. 3 is comedy, 11%, 42 movies. Adventure is at number 2 with 13%, 48 movies. And action, number 1, 15%, 57 movies. 384 genres across 50 studios.
50 studios as well?
What?
Was that 50 studios as well?
50 studios as well.
What was your most watched one?
Marvel.
Mine was Warner Brothers.
Oh, interesting. All right. Who is your most watched? 5 top most watched actors. I think our list may be very similar because of the content we've put out this year.
Mine's affected by the wrestling, so I'm wondering if I go down, if I can find. Hold on, you do yours because I want to see if I can just
right. So my top 5 is Mark Ruffalo, 4 shows, 3 movies. No, 4 movies, 3 shows. That's interesting. Chris Evans, 6 movies, 2 shows. Benedict Wong, 7 movies, 1 show. J.K. Simmons at number 2, 7 movies, 2 shows. And number 1, Stan Lee in 15 movies.
All right, so I've gone down, so I can just because it's got the top 25 or whatever the hell it is, and I'm taking out the wrestlers. So number 5 would be Benedict Wong, 7 movies, 1 show. Number 4, Benedict Cumberbatch, 7 movies, 1 show. Number 3, Mark Ruffalo, 5 movies, 3 shows. Number 2, J.K. Simmons, 9 movies, 1 show. Number 1, Stan Lee, 19 movies.
Wait, how did you get 19?
Oh, 16, sorry, I said it wrong. 16.
Okay. Top actresses. Again, going to get a similar theme. Number 5, Danai Gurira. 4 movies, 1 show. Number 4, Kobe Smulders. 3 movies, 2 shows. Number 3, Zendaya. 4 movies, 1 show. Number 2, Tilda Swinton. 5 movies, 1 show. And number 1, Scarlett Johansson. 5 movies, 3 shows.
Similar. Number 5, Marissa Tomei. 6 movies. Number 4, Mila Djokovic. 6 movies. Number 3, Karen Gillan, 5 movies, 1 show. Number 2, Zendaya, 4 movies, 2 shows. And number 1, Scarlett Johansson, 6 movies, 2 shows.
All right. Who are your top 5 directors of 2021? No, wait. Let's do top 5 writers. The latest addition to Trakt, thanks to Nicholas Pryor.
It's true.
Demanding it.
We're not even.
So if you have any requests for Trakts, go through Nicholas Pryor because they listen to him.
This list is highly fucked as well. But
it is. It's not exactly perfect.
It's just the way the cookie crumbles, unfortunately. But this is more or less one person. Number 5, Jeff Tremaine, 4 movies. Number 4, Dmitry Elevalaski, 4 movies. Sean Cliver, 4 movies. Loomis Fall, 4 movies. Steve-O, 5 movies. Most watch writers.
Yep. Number 5, Jeff Tremaine, 3 movies. Number 4, Sean Cliver, 3 movies. Number 3, Loomis Falls, 3 movies. Number 2, Chris McKenna, 3 movies. And number 1, Dave Filoni, 3 shows.
Dave Filoni. Oh,
Yeah.
damn. My list is just all Jackass.
All right. What are your top 5 directors?
Number 5, Jeff Tremaine, 4 movies. By the way, we did a Jackass thing recently, which is currently airing, so you should check that.
What's the 4th movie? Oh, you watched...
I watched something else. I watched a Steve-O thing as well.
But no, but you did the alternate version, 2.5. That's what that was.
Yeah, and that would have been the Jeff Tremaine thing, yeah. And then Steve-O thing, being a writer, would have been because I watched his thing as well. Joe Berlinger, 3 movies, 1 show. Number 3, David Gordon Green, 2 movies, 2 shows. Number 2, Paul W.S. Anderson, 5 movies. I did a rewatch of all the Resident Evil movies. You can find them over at Radio Watson. And number 1, Zack Snyder, 5 movies.
Right. My list. Number 5, Joe Russo, 3 movies. Number 4, John Watts, 3 movies. Number 3, Lee Janiak, 3 movies. Number 2, Lana Wachowski, 4 movies. Number 1, Zack Snyder, 4 movies. So yeah. And Dylan, what was the final thing you watched in 2021?
Final thing I watched in 2021 on December 31st at 8:22 p.m. 1989's Batman.
Which you can find discussion for here of what you want to watch on the road to the Batman. My number 1, and it helps cement my list for best movie of 2021, was Bo Burnham's Inside at 9:20 p.m. 31st of December. You know, go out in the best way possible.
See that new year in with style. Now, the other thing I was going to quickly look at, if you scroll back up and go to your 2020 year in review, let's just compare overall stats.
Okay.
You know, like at the top with hours and plays. So my overall hours and plays for 2021 were... Actually, no, I'll do them backwards. My overall plays and hours for 2020 were 784 plays for a total of 740 hours tracked across TVs and movies. 2021, 964 plays for a total of 979 hours total tracked across TVs and movies. So I went up by about basically 200 hours.
Okay. Mine's interesting. So in 2020, I had 1,452 plays and 936 hours. In 2021, I had 891 plays for 1,041 hours. Wow. So I had less plays this year by a lot, but went up in hours.
I haven't broke 1,000 yet, so...
I'll boost those numbers. So yeah. Dylan, what if you had to request something from Trakt, the good people at Trakt, what would you like to see in your year in review 2022?
Put the wrestling stuff under sporting or something. Put sporting events as a separate category that shows up for people who watch that stuff, or the ability to check a box or something that'll take this stuff out. Because it happened last year and it happened again this year, where it kind of fucks my top 10 movies list.
Yeah. I think, just like you added writers, I think it would be nice if you had either cinematographers or composers. That would be a good addition. Like, that would be a cool stat to see. Because those are people you probably don't notice, and then you go, I liked watching films with that music from that person or shot by that person. That'd be cool. But also, give us when the year of the movie. I think they used to do that. Like, how many movies did you watch from what years? That'd be a good stat to have. Probably not very good for me because I did not watch many old movies last year. But yeah, I think that would be helpful. So yeah. Thank you very much for Trakt, even though, we're paying for VIP membership, so we're really helping you. But yeah, if you ever want to send us a t-shirt, that would be greatly appreciated. Let's move on to the next segment. So normally, at the start of the year, we go over our most anticipated movies of the year. But I figured this year we'd make it a bit more fun. And also, I've been watching a bunch of other places doing, the gaming sphere, doing, the gaming drafts for the year. So I thought do a spin on a movie draft for 2022. So this is the first ever What Do You Want to Watch movie draft. So what we're going to do is we're each going to pick 8 movies coming out in 2022 that have not been screened anywhere yet. So they don't have any review scores yet.
Oh, I was going to pick Flea.
Yeah. And then we're going to score them based on their average Rotten Tomato score, because I think that probably gets the most critic reviews. So it's not the actual tomato meter score, it's the actual median score of people. Yeah, I think that
whatever you want to do.
I think that makes more sense than Metacritic, because I feel like there's more people on Rotten Tomatoes than Metacritic.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's definitely the most popular movie thing, though, I guess, Rotten Tomatoes.
Yes. So yeah, I'm probably going to do up an article doing all the scoring and everything, picking all the movies. We're also going to do 2 wild cards, because there's a way in the scoring that, it's going to be, you get a point for every point above 70 that a movie does. But then you also get deducted points if it's below 70. So we're going to have 2 wild cards that we can pick that won't count against your score if they do poorly. So it's weird, wacky ones. And there's also bonus points for picking a movie that ends up in the top 10 box office wise globally. So yeah, that's kind of it. This will be interesting to see how this goes. I don't know what Dylan's strategy is, whether he's just picking his favorite movies that he's hoping to see this year, or he's thought it out.
I did it on my lunch break at work, so it's fine.
Yeah. I'm going to let you go first, because you normally lose at these things.
Holy fucking shit. Calm down. All right. So my first pick is The Batman.
Yeah, that was number 1 on my list as well. I think, yeah. It's probably the most anticipated movie of the year.
One of the most anticipated movies of the year, but it's also one that I feel pretty safe is going to do very well. So. Critically. So.
Critically, and potentially money-wise as well.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to pick the opposing one to that. I think these are the clear number 1 and number 2. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse first. I thought part 1. I think we all saw it. It looks amazing. The first one did very well amongst critics and made a bunch of money. So...
Fair. I will counter that with a similar Marvel-ish pick. Doctor Strange Across the multiverse thing.
Yes. Okay. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
That's the one.
That's the one. In that case, I will pick Thor: Love and Thunder. Another movie that will probably make a bunch of money and also be very good. Well received. Hopefully.
Right. I'm going to go with Lightyear.
Ooh. Okay. Yeah.
It made so much money that they don't even tell you how much it made.
Well, it just depends if it gets released in theaters, There's still time.
At least I can go to critical reception.
That's true. I'm going to go with The Northman at my 3rd pick. Can't bet against Ari Aster.
It's not Ari Aster.
In black and white, yeah. Oh, Robert Eggers. Sorry.
Get all these A24 people confused. How offensive.
Yeah, I know, right?
Fucking hell. Alright. I'm going with the Bob's Burgers movie.
Wow. That was not even on my shortlist.
I know that I don't watch the show much. All I know is that people love it. It always does well. I think critically that show's like really high like regard and stuff, and I think the movie's just gonna hold up same caliber. So I'm just going off a whim.
All right. My fourth pick, I'm going to go with Jordan Peele's Nope. One,
Nope.
because it's fun to say. Two, because he's Academy Award-winning screenwriter. So,
Nope. Top Gun Maverick.
Top Gun Maverick. Interesting.
It's gonna make money on this.
Is it though? We'll see.
Don't say that.
Let's say that. My next pick is going to be The Black Phone, the Scott Derrickson film.
You can't. I was gonna pick it. It's been screened.
Has it? Oh, that's true.
It was
forgot
about
about
to come out. It'd been screened in America. It already has like a Metacritic score and everything. So
That's true. Fuck that. All right, next I'll pick Baz Luhrmann's Elvis.
Yeah.
That seems like a good pick.
Yeah. Fuck it. Now we're into the hard part. God damn it. Operation Fortune Ruse de Guerre, or however the fuck you say it. The Guy Ritchie one.
All right. Well, speaking of Ari Aster, I'll pick his next film, Boulevard. Disappointment Boulevard.
You're a big fan. You're picking all these A24 movies.
I know what's gonna make a win.
Well, I know what's gonna win. Jesus.
Yeah.
Fuck. Oh, motherfucker. Jurassic World Dominion.
Okay. Good pick. It was at one point the highest grossing movie of all time.
Yeah, so I should at least have the money.
Maybe.
Maybe it's a 70-something%.
Number 7. I'll pick Olivia Wilde's next film, Don't Worry, Darlings. It's got Harry Styles in it. We know people flock it to the cinema to see Harry Styles.
It's true.
Last pick.
Last pick. The Lost City.
Lost City. Interesting. My last pick is going to be Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon. Pretty confident that's releasing this year.
I'm trying to pick stuff that I'm like actually confident it's releasing this year, so we'll see.
Most of those have release dates.
Yeah.
I
I was trying to stay away from stuff that I'm like studios may move.
That's true. That's a good point. All right, wild cards. Dylan, what's your first wild card pick?
Fuck. So what's the rules for these? Like, what's the...
No negative effects. It's just a free hit. If it's bad, you don't lose any points.
Okay. DC League of Super Pets.
That's actually a good use of this. I think I'm going to counter that with Minions: The Rise of Gru.
That's fair. I will go... Fuck, what's something that looks like it could magically be good, but not be good? It's kind of hard, actually. Let's go with... Fuck it, let's go Ambulance.
Yeah, okay. That was on my wildcard list. I got 3 potentials. I'm going to go with Halloween Ends.
I forgot. I never forgot that movie was actually coming out.
This coming out, yeah. Pretty freaking crazy. Yeah. So, final list. Dylan has The Batman, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Lightyear, Bob's Burgers movie, Top Gun Maverick, Operation Fortune, Jurassic World Dominion, Lost City, DC League of Super Pets, and Ambulance. I have Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, Thor Love and Thunder, The Northman, Nope, Elvis, Disappointment Boulevard, Don't Worry Darling, Killers of the Flower Moon, Minions The Rise of Gru, and Halloween Ends. How are you feeling? How confident are you feeling about your list?
I feel like you've got you've got stuff in there that I had down that I wish, like, that I feel pretty confident with.
I think we've gone with different strategies.
Yeah, I've gone for, and I would have taken stuff like, I wanted to get The Northman, for example. I had Nope in my, like, not high category pile because I was trying to make sure I got stuff that was releasing, like, has release dates and is sort of, like, coming out in the next, like, say, 4 months.
Yeah, the other qualifier is we're going to return in first episode of July and pick another 5 movies.
Yeah.
Because obviously we'll find out about a whole bunch of other movies coming out.
Yeah. So yeah, my strategy was try and get stuff that's like I know should be releasing before we do our second one, and not after. Even though I got like 1 or 2 things that are probably after June, July. So
yeah, I'm just gonna rattle off some other titles that I had on my list because we'll probably forget it by the time this comes out. Turning Red, obviously that's one. The Fabelmans, which is apparently the next Steven Spielberg movie. Asteroid City, which is the next Wes Anderson movie that's meant to come out this year. Sonic the Hedgehog 2. 3,000 Years of Longing. I can't remember what that was.
I don't know either.
So that's the George Miller movie that's meant to come out this year.
All right.
Starring Tilda Swinton and Idris Elba. So that's interesting. Black Adam. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. But, you know, that one seems risky. Both because they haven't finished filming yet. And it's like, how do you follow up that first movie with your major star gone?
Mm-hmm.
That's tricky. And then Avatar 2. Who knows if that's going to come out or not. And then The Flash, that was down as a wild card, so... Anything on your list that you want to mention?
No, everything on my list has been brought up. So I obviously didn't make a long enough list.
No, good to know for next year. Or next 6 months' time. So yeah. Check out explosionnetwork.com. Maybe by the time this is up, I might have done this article. Explaining the rules, and, you know, we'll come back 6 months, see how we're going, who's winning and who's losing, before we get a winner at the end of the year. Yeah, a little bit of fun, bringing up a bunch of movies we're excited for this year. Alright, let's move on to some thumbs for trailers, Dylan. First trailer, Severance, created by Dan Erickson, starring Adam Scott, Zach Cherry, Britt Lower, Tramell Tillman, John Turturro, Patricia Arquette, Christopher Walken. Mark Scout leads a team at Lumen Industries whose employees have undergone a severance procedure which surgically divides their memories between their work and personal lives. What do you think of Severance?
I thought it was a movie at first, and I was kind of disappointed to find out it's a TV series because I just feel like the premise, based solely upon the trailer, sounds like it would work better as a movie, not as a TV show. But I'm keen. I'm excited. I think the cast looks really great. I think the setup of, you know, these people having an operation where they somehow, while they're on this floor at work, they only remember what they've done at work, and as soon as they leave, they just get back their personal memories. And then obviously the big thing in the trailer is eventually this dude comes in at the end. He's like, "Hey, I'm your best friend at work," and he doesn't remember him, and he's like, "There's a big conspiracy happening," and all this other stuff. So definitely lots to be like, yeah, I want to watch that. I want to find out what the hell's actually going on and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm keen to check this one out. 2 thumbs up trailer.
Yeah, this is 2 thumbs up from me. I think really interesting premise. I think it's the premise is slowly revealed through the trailer. I think it's really well put together. Yeah, it looks really creepy, and, you know, Adam Scott's really good at most things he's in. yeah, interesting idea, and definitely it'd be interesting to find out what the fuck they're doing in this workplace that justifies all this.
Well, all we ever see them is what, sitting around, dancing, typing stuff.
Just
on
sitting in like
computers,
one room,
yeah,
small dividers and stuff. Yeah, it's very creepy and that kind of stuff. So yeah, definitely interested in that. Dylan, the next one is one of your picks, The Lost City, directed by Aaron and Adam Nee, starring Sandra Bullock, Channing Tatum, Daniel Radcliffe, Devine Joy Randolph, and Brad Pitt. Reclusive author Loretta Sage writes about exotic places in her popular adventure novels that feature a handsome cover model named Alan. On tour promoting a new book with Alan, Loretta gets kidnapped by an eccentric billionaire who hopes she can lead him to an ancient city's lost treasure from her latest story. Determined to prove he can be a hero in real life and not just on the pages of her books, Alan sets off to rescue her. Dylan, what do you think of this one? You must have thought highly if you put it on your list.
I think it's going to do well. Not everything, like the Bob's Burger thing, for example. I'm like, I don't care for that, but I was just trying to pick.
That's true.
But I do think this is a very good trailer. I think it's a good trailer. I think it doesn't, at first you're like, oh, rom-com. You're like, boring rom-com. Don't really care. Or whatever. Well, I guess if you just watch the trailer. If you watch the opening skit where Daniel Radcliffe comes from behind the door, because it's like a trailer that doesn't have that, I guess. If you watch that, you're like, this is an interesting setup. But yeah, then the actual trailer starts, and at first it is like rom-com-ish, I guess, feelings. But then just things take a wild turn, especially when Brad Pitt's in the fucking shopping cart or whatever, getting pushed out of an exploding building and stuff. Like, it looks wild. It looks like it's definitely just very silly. I don't. If you look at like who's involved in it, like the directors are like they've just done silly sort of stuff each, including like Drunk History and stuff, and then the writers, including them, but like Oren Uziel, how do you say his name? Uziel. You know, who's most famous for like, I guess Cloverfield and 22 Jump Street and stuff like that. So I feel like once you dig behind the scenes, definitely see a lot more here than meets the eye, I guess. But yeah, I'm keen for this. I think Daniel Radcliffe, Sandra Bullock, Brad Pitt, and Channing Tatum aren't the 4 people I would see starring in a movie together like this, but it looks funny. I think it looks good. I'm keen to watch it. I give the trailer a double thumbs up.
Yeah, I really enjoy the trailer as well. Double thumbs up. It's like, you know, it feels like a bit of a throwback to like those crazy rom-com action. I don't know. Like, of course you get vibes of like Romancing the Stone and everything, but there's also like a odd like 21 Jump Street vibe to it as well.
Yeah. Of
like just that Channing Tatum comedy element. He hasn't done a lot of comedies. Well, that's not
He
true.
actually has done a lot, I would say.
I don't think he's like led a comedy though, since
No.
he's mostly been in like supporting roles and that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, he hasn't led a comedy show. Yeah.
So yeah, you know, Sandra Bullock hasn't been around very much.
No.
Not in the comedy stuff. It's mostly been Bird Box and depressing stuff recently. Yeah. So nice change of pace. So yeah, this looks really good. Although I'm disappointed it isn't still called The Lost City of D, because D. Next up, The Northman, directed by Robert Eggers, starring Alexander Skarsgård, Nicole Kidman, Clay Bangs, Anya Taylor-Joy, Ethan Hawke, Bjork, and Willem Dafoe. The Northman is an epic revenge thriller that explores how far a Viking prince will go to seek justice for his murdered father. Amazing trailer. Obviously, this black and white story, of course, you'd expect from Robert Eggers. I would recommend if you watch this trailer on Twitter, go check out the link in the show descriptions below and watch it on YouTube, because unlike what it was shown on Twitter, it is an actual full widescreen trailer. It's not a square box. He's not doing the same thing as The Lighthouse with this movie. Yeah, I remember I think we were talking about it on some other thing we were recording when it dropped. So yeah, I think it looks really, really good. So it's definitely got me excited. Although it's crazy that people are like, oh my god, it's like a witch tie-in because Anya Taylor-Joy's in it and looks witchy. It's like, yeah, okay. Dylan, what do you think?
Loved it. Can't wait. Definitely one of my most anticipated movies of 2022. Visually, it looks stunning. Cast is great. Just looks like epic on scale. It's just like, it's going to be like, unlike you. I don't know. It's just when you do a movie like this, if you do like a proper Viking sort of thing, there's just a certain tone and like dark bleakness to it you want. Whereas like I feel like a lot of, obviously, if this was done like Hollywood, it'd just be a lot clean cutter or whatever. Like I don't know, just Robert Eggers gets in there and like he's really good at just diving into, I guess he's proved these weird offset areas and things of history or whatever, and just he's proven himself. So I'm ready for this. I think it looks really, really good. And Bjork in it is the funniest. Well, not to say she hasn't been in a movie before, but it's just the most interesting casting to me. But yeah, definitely one of my most anticipated movies of the year. Double thumbs up, obviously.
Yeah, double thumbs up. Next up, we've got The Bad Guys, directed by Pierre Preffel, starring Sam Rockwell, Mark Maron, Craig Robertson, Anthony Ramos, Aquafina, Richard Ayoade, Zazie Beetz, Lily Singh, and Alex Bornstein. After a lifetime of legendary heists, notorious criminals Mr. Wolf, Mr. Snake, Mr. Piranha, Mr. Shark, and Miss Tarantula are finally caught. To avoid a prison sentence, the animal outlaws must pull off their most challenging con yet, becoming model citizens. Under the tutelage of their mentor, Professor Marmalade, the Dubitous gang sets out to fool the world that they're turning good. I think this looks pretty fantastic. I don't know anything about the book series that they're based on, other than there's a lot of them. But yeah, this looks really fun, and this looks really well animated. There's potential there for some crazy hijinks, and yeah, it looks like an interesting world of like animals and that kind of stuff. And as soon as that shark reveal, shark starts making that distraction that she's pregnant, even though it's a dude. Wow, amazing. Yeah, this 2 thumbs up for me. It looks fantastic. I'm definitely keen to check it out in cinemas when it comes out. Dylan, what do you think?
I think it looked okay. I wasn't blown away like you were. I think the cast is good and everything. I think the premise is good. Something about the animation to me didn't stand out as much as it obviously did to you. And I don't know, I couldn't even put my finger on it. Something about it just felt off, or like not that pizzazz or something that I need that like, because this is a Universal thing, which is the runner up to our Pixar dinner. Pixar
it's DreamWorks,
Disney.
yeah.
This is like this is the third place, and it just didn't. Something just looked off. This looked like more a fourth place or a fifth place. It didn't. I was just missing something. I was a little bit let down. I don't know what. Maybe I'll change my mind when I watch the whole thing. But based on this, I'm currently on 1 up, 1 down.
Interesting. All right, last trailer for this week. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Directed by Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert. Starring Michelle Yeoh, Ki-Hu Kwan, Stephanie Hughes, Jenny Slate, Harry Shum Jr., James Hong, and Jamie Lee Curtis. An aging Chinese immigrant is swept up in an insane adventure when she alone can save the world by exploring other universes, connecting with the lives she could have led. Dylan, this trailer dropped out of nowhere and suddenly caught the imaginations of everybody saw it. What did you think?
I remember dropping and watched it, obviously, and was like, this, yes, please. This is like, but the funniest thing to me is like the movie everyone's got so used to just thinking multiverse. Oh, that's a Marvel, like that's a comic booky thing or whatever. But this is just doing like a multiverse in like a real interesting setting that's weird and wacky and like really out there, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But I think the trailer is really, really good. I think the trailer is just like grabs you and goes, what the fuck? Like, what a ride. Like, I feel like surely you'd watch this trailer and go, I want to watch this movie. I don't know how you couldn't, but it's from the people who did Swiss Army Man, which I don't think you've watched, right?
No.
Swiss Army Man, fucking what a movie. What a ride. Like, that's the sort of movie you watch a trailer for and you go, this is so dumb. How could this be a full movie? And then you watch it and you're crying at the end for some reason. And you're like, wow, these people, I'm down. And, you know, I think I watched, when I got to the end of Swiss Army Man, I was like, they just made me care about this character who just farts and he's a dead person. I don't give a fuck. I'll watch anything that they do next. So that's where we're at. And this already looks awesome. But knowing that this is those people, I was like, all right, I'm fucking all aboard. They won me over with that movie. I'm lifers. So yeah, I can't wait. Double thumbs up.
All right, yeah, this looks amazing. Obviously, getting on the bandwagon. It's hard to not go. Yeah, they're getting on the bandwagon of these multiverse stories. I think what the joke I made when I saw the trailer was, "Hey, I can't believe they remade Jet Li's The One," because it kind of looks like. Yeah, this looks fantastic. Michelle Yeoh's great in everything she's been in recently. One of the busiest ladies in Hollywood at the moment, I think. Yeah, I'm definitely super keen to check this one out. A24, great pedigree. Like you said, those guys pulled off a miracle with Swiss Army Man. A movie that I will definitely, I swear, I will watch this year.
We'll just make it what do you want to
make it a spoiler cast when we're missing a week?
I'm down for it because I haven't watched it since it came out.
Right.
And I mean, Paul Dano's in it, so there's another thing. So
yep. So when we figure out when this movie comes out, we'll do. When we know when this movie comes out, look for that spoiler cast. So yeah, 2 thumbs up from me as well. So, all right, let's wrap up this week's massive episode of What Do You Want to Watch with our What Do You Want to Watch top 3.
Definitely in the top 3.
So, on our best personal lists of the year, we did our best. We brought up all this television and all these movies, but we never talk about the third thing that's in the introduction of the show. Online media. So this week's top 3 is best online media we discovered in 2021. So that could be podcasts, it could be YouTube videos, it could be Vimeo videos, it could be TikTok shorts, I don't know. Whatever. Dylan, what is your number 3?
I got to be honest. I'm going to tell you right now. TikTok is correct. So my setup is that I did, because 2 of mine are TikTok people. So I only got a TikTok account last year, 2021, and I think I started getting because short form video seems to like click for me where there was like a nice mix of both even just mindless fucking Karen videos on there, and then, well, at least my TikToks become Karen videos. Or like the people doing like sort of skits and stuff like that, but the skits are only like usually short, so I can like watch a few. And be like, cool, to get my fix or whatever. So I've quite enjoyed some of that stuff, the short form sort of stuff. And obviously it's been quite successful because YouTube followed suit and started their shorts program to try and get more people doing shorts on there. So obviously there's success. My number 3 person that I've enjoyed watching, or new thing I've discovered, but I guess number 2 person I've enjoyed watching the most this year is someone you may have seen because, of course, old TikToks make their way to Twitter in some form or fashion. Francis Borgias, I can't really pronounce his last name, also known as the dude who records himself watching trains. I don't know if you've seen this. He attaches a GoPro to his head. And he gets like a ridiculous camera angle where it makes his head really fat, and he like watches himself, and he's a train watcher. So I just got to Wikipedia. This is a rundown quickly. English train spotter and social media personality, most known for his videos posted on Instagram and TikTok on topic of trains. He began making TikTok videos of train spotting during the COVID-19 pandemic in England in October 2021. He was featured on the ITV Daily magazine this morning. He's a student at University of Nottingham studying engineering. He quit his job in November 2021 to pursue train spotting full time. So that's all these videos are. It's hard to explain why they're enjoyable without watching themselves, but it is that, I think it's that, what would you call it? You know, like when you're watching someone be happy and it sort of like translates to you. You know what I mean? Like that sort of thing. Like, it's that. He gets so happy, so much joy from watching these trains, and he's just a very infectious sort of joyous thing that I remember the first time I just like kept watching, and now every time he uploads a new video, I'm like, oh, good. New train video. Most recently, he's really funny. He's the one he put out, like as of recording a couple of days ago. He had Joe Jonas there, But all he did was start the video going, "Hey, I'm here with a British accent, of course. I'm here in so and so with my friend Joe." Or whatever. Like, it wasn't like, oh, here's Joe Jonas. It's just, I'm here with my friend Joe, and they did like a video together. And then the one they posted after that, Joe Jonas had the fucking stupid GoPro thing on that made his head look ridiculous on. And Joe Jonas is like, the train or whatever. So, I don't know. It's quite fun. I very much enjoyed watching his videos. So, number 3 on my list.
I'm sorry, but I looked him up, and the number 1 result is TikTok famous train spotter a secret fuckboy? A Rolling Stone.
There was a thing like I think there was like a thing that started people start like accusing him of being like faking his enthusiasm and like all this sort of stuff, and then there was also a whole thing that started where he recently revealed and like randomly off course in a video he said he had a girlfriend and a bunch of girls got, well, I guess not just girls, but like a bunch of people got shitty because they were like, you were hiding, you had a partner this entire time or whatever. I don't know, something like that. I don't know. Yeah. That's interesting. Did you see a picture of his stupid face?
Yeah, I saw his.
I don't know how you haven't seen that on
totally
Twitter.
Normal face. Yeah. All right. My number 3 is Comics Explained, which is just a YouTube channel in which someone, goes through comic book storylines and explains kind of issue by issue how the story goes, as someone kind of time conscious and, it's been something I've kind of listened to while I'm working on other stuff and like, hear these, mostly so far it's been stories that I've already read through. So like getting a refresher on that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm kind of interested to hear some of the like other massive storylines that I'll be perfectly honest, I'm probably never going to get to reading. Like this Venom King in Black storyline that they've had in the last year or two. I'm probably never going to read that.
I'm thinking about reading Justice League as a shout out to comics if you want to.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing that Justice League.
Yeah, they're about to kill them all.
Justice League, yeah.
Or Death of the Justice League, yeah. So I would, if you're interested in comics, that's a good one. He's got a nice, nice tone to his voice, and you can hear the enthusiasm in it. So yeah, I would recommend that over on YouTube. Dylan, what's number 2?
Number 2 is another TikToker. Why are you laughing so much? I'm like that old guy trying to be like, check out TikToks. Number 2, Millie Ford. Do you know who this person is? Have you heard this person? So Millie Ford is an Australian TikToker. She does, I think she's one of the most popular TikTok people or whatever. She was most recently also on Bump Season 2 in a cameo appearance where she played one of the teachers on it. So that was like a cool moment. Shout outs. But she does a lot of, she has like several characters and skits that she'll do quite often. I guess it plays into that whole thing of like, and she's one of the most popular people, and a lot of people do it now where it's like, the video will be something titled like, she did a lot playing like a parent or a teacher. I think the teacher is probably her most popular one. It'll be like, oh, when a teacher walks into the room when the students aren't paying attention, and she like dresses up and she'll like walk in and be like, oh, you kids. Like, it's all very like, I think it hits that mark where she perfectly like, it's, I don't know what you call it, but it's that thing where you're watching it and you go, that is what it was like. That's what it was like when I was in school. And it'll be like, oh, when your mum does this or something like that, like, and it'll be like, oh, when your mum walks in on you doing this, it's like, you're watching, that is exactly how mum was when I was young or whatever. So it definitely plays into that sort of thing where it's like relatable, like comedy skit stuff or whatever. She's someone that sort of, I think like COVID, I think for a lot of people, it feels bad to say almost, but COVID for a lot of people has been successful for them because they were stuck inside and they had all this time to suddenly just make like YouTube videos, TikToks, whatever. And some people have found like great success in that. And I think she's like one of those people where over the period of like since COVID blew up on TikTok, she's now like a massive sort of social media star and whatever else. But yeah, all of her videos are bangers. She's very funny. Anytime a new Millie Ford video pops up, I assume it's going to be funny. Quite enjoy watching it. I don't think there's anything that bad. So, and yeah, then seeing she's reached out and then, yeah, seeing her on Bump, I was like, oh, that's cool. Hopefully she's like, I guess like not going to do the thing where it's like just ride this TikTok thing until it eventually burns out, but stretch out and maybe she wants to be a proper, quote unquote proper actor or whatever. I don't really know, but she's definitely been one of my favorite people to watch this year, like online.
All right. My number 2 is a YouTube channel called Wait in the Wings, which covers Broadway and like modern musicals. He kind of does kind of in-depth documentaries, explaining, talking about like the development and the way these musicals came to the stage and that kind of stuff. I kind of came across it. Obviously, there's been a lot of musicals come out this year, so like kind of like clicking around, it eventually just kind of came across this. Lots of really good ones. Even if you're not into musicals, I think like there's one about the musical Rebecca that's really interesting because it's a musical that was in development for a long time in Hollywood, but then it got cancelled the day before, like a day or two before it was scheduled to open. And it turns out there was like a massive investor scam behind it and everything. So it kind of like dolls it out like a crime documentary, that kind of thing. But yeah, there's other interesting ones. Obviously, the other one that kind of drew me in was he does a kind of breakdown on the history of Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, which is the big Spider-Man musical that had Bono and like 50 different people who ended up in hospital. And kind of how that happened and that kind of thing. So yeah, lots of really interesting content on there. So I would definitely, if you've watched the musicals this year and are interested in exploring that further, I would definitely recommend checking that out. Dylan, what's your number 1 pick for online media you discovered this year?
Number 1, podcast. Australian podcast called Gameplay. So this is hosted...
Was that this year? Last year?
I don't know if it came out, but that's when I discovered it.
You found it?
I could quickly scroll. It started in October 2020. I only started listening to it in, I don't remember, mid-April? Yeah, it was April last year, I guess, roughly. July, April.
Okay.
So it's a, what would you call it? It's a deep dive podcast series that focuses on one particular thing per episode. It started like very like sort of, it's like addiction, Red Ring of Death, these are sorts of things in the first couple episodes. The midpoint when I jumped on was because they did an episode on Good Game, primarily focused on like how it got together, the big breakup between stars, behind the scenes drama, that sort of stuff. And I felt like that was a good, as someone who like used to like, search for answers to all these things, like what happened, like all this sort of stuff. And remember seeing all the outrage when Hex was hired and all this sort of stuff. I found that like interesting. And I went back and listened to a bunch of it since then. But most recently, for example, it's like, what do we got? Matrix Online is the most recent episode. Blind Gaming was a bonus episode. Animal Crossing, New Harmonies, Golf Club Wasteland. There was an episode on, it's just titled Honk here, but it's about the Untitled Goose Game, chiptune music and stuff. Like, it's all just deep dives with interviews with people about like the subject matter. And of course, if it's focused on the games, interviews with the people that behind the game and this sort of stuff. But it's edited really well. It's got these really good interviews and it's well produced and everything. And I just think it's a really good put together listen that also comes from Australia. That's really good. I think it won, I can't remember what award it was, but it won something at the Whatchamacalls this year, the Lizzies. So that was good to see. Yeah, Gameplay, I think it's probably the only new podcast I started that I checked out last year that I've kept in my rotation, because most episodes some are long, but I'd say most of them are 30, 40 minutes, I think, on average, probably, if you were to boil it down. So that's quite good for digestible sort of stuff as well. And they're all really interesting. So that's my number 1 media discovered thing in 2021.
All right. My number 1 is Secret Base. So this is a spin-off of the American sports website Sports B Nation, in which it's just the name of their YouTube content, but I think their YouTube content is really fantastic. It's got a bunch of like really interesting documentary-esque bits and pieces. Like they've got some like statistical stuff and like explaining, they've got these like rewind videos where they're explaining like a important moment in sporting history and how these teams got to it and that kind of thing. But then they also have this series of videos called Beef History, in which they explore like the beef between different athletes, and dating back to what they said and how when the the reactions and everything. And a whole bunch of other stuff like that. They did this long documentary about they've done one about the Seattle Mariners and the Atlanta Falcons, kind of detailing their history in their respective sports. Two teams that have not been successful, but like kind of they find the interesting parts of their stories and kind of highlight it. And they've got like amazing graphics packages and like stats and all kinds of stuff in it. Then they've also got the series called Fumble Dimension, in which two of the guys try and break sports video games, whether it's by populating the NBA with all 5'10" players who can't dribble and can't shoot, or making a baseball team throw the ball at hit a pitcher every like 6 pitches or something like that. Bunch of weird stuff. But yeah, really fun. There's always something new and interesting to discover on there, and they update their site pretty regularly, put new content out pretty regularly. So that's something that I've been working my way through while I'm doing some work stuff. So yeah, that has been something that's been keeping me entertained this year. So yeah, if you like American sports, I would recommend checking that out. All right, that brings us to the end of this episode of What Do You Want to Watch? I can safely say it's probably the longest one we've done.
Fucking better feel like it because it feels like
it really got away from us, didn't it?
It's one way to put it. If you got this far, thanks.
If you got this far, thank you. The most hardcore of hardcore. But yeah, let us know your top 3. What are the top 3 online media things that you found? Who are your favorite TikTokers? Do I need to join the TikToks? The TokTiks? Let us know by going to explosionnetwork.com/Twitter or jump to Discord at explosionnetwork.com/Discord. Does Explosion Network need a TikTok? Is that a thing we need to do?
I thought about it at one point and then I just made my personal one. So
let us know on Dylan's TikTok.
You can follow me on TikTok if you want.
Viv Liddell, I'm assuming.
Correct.
Yeah. If you want to help us out here at What Do You Want to Watch, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, on Podchaser, leave us 5 stars on Spotify, or just tell people about the show. And if you like this episode, thought it was worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosionnetwork.com/support. Thank you, seriously, very much for listening. Until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.